I couldn't help it, and I pulled the bridesmaid's black silk stockings at the beginning. An hour later, Chen happily withdrew his magical power, rolled off the limp Shen Miao, and lay exhausted on the bed. So tired. It felt like he was being drained of his energy. Damn, who is playing with whom? Chen muttered to himself. Shen Miao was still resisting for the first 5 minutes, but then she started to take over. He almost surrendered several times because he couldn't resist. This woman is too crazy. I feel a little dizzy, what's going on? My brain seemed to be a mess of paste, gradually getting darker and darker until I completely fainted. While I was dazed, there seemed to be a flame burning in my lower abdomen, and it kept spreading upwards, burning my intestines, then my heart, throat, nasal cavity, and even my eyes, burning fiercely. Slowly, the burning sensation became more and more intense, and finally I couldn't bear it anymore, and I sat up from my coma in shock. Damn it! Did that stinky bitch pour gasoline on me to burn me to death? After a quick check, his body was intact. Looking to the side, Shen Miao had disappeared. It turned out to be a dream. Chen let out a long breath. This dream was too real. Faintly, there was still a little warmth in his lower abdomen. He couldn't help but think to himself, damn, did this bitch ruin my prostate? Looking down, there was a trace of red on the bed sheet. I didn't expect that Shen Miao, who was arrogant and domineering on weekdays, was actually a virgin. This really surprised Chen. Uncle, aunt, I'm not here to return the betrothal gift, but to ask your Su family to compensate me for my mental and reputation losses, a total of 1 million. But at this time, there was a noise outside the door. Chen immediately recognized that it was Lu Xiaomei's voice, and hurried out to check. In the living room, father and mother were already crying, heartbroken. On the sofa, Lu Xiaomei was sitting with a strong look on her face, next to a young man, and 6 black suit bodyguards standing behind her. This woman is so disgusting. Chen was furious. She was the one who broke off the engagement, and she was the one who ran away from the engagement, and now she dared to come back to claim compensation. It's so cruel. However, when he looked at the young man next to him again, a burning feeling suddenly emerged in his eyes, and then the scene in front of him changed. Name, Song Zijin. Age, 25. Occupation, unemployed. Identity, young master of Zhonghai Song family. On the young man's head, the identity information was actually displayed. Damn, what's going on, am I dazzled? Chen was stunned. He rubbed his eyes hurriedly, and looked carefully again. Even Lu Xiaomei and the other 6 bodyguards had their identity information displayed on their heads. Oh my god! Am I still dreaming? Chen was a little bit unbelievable. What the hell was going on? Just as he was surprised, his father Chen wiped his tears and said, Xiaomei, ask yourself, have we ever treated you badly? You want a dowry, a new house, a car, gold jewelry, and a diamond ring. We have done everything. Do you know that all this money was borrowed by us? It's none of my business. Did I let you borrow it? Lu Xiaomei snorted coldly and said disdainfully, why get married if you can't even take out this little money? I'm not here to help the victims. Did I marry into your family just to suffer? Forget it, I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. Don't think that there is no one in my family. If you don't take out 1 million to settle the matter, I will make sure you never have a good life. Xiaomei, why waste time talking to this old man? Give him a lesson first and he will naturally take out the money. Song Zijin grinned and waved his hand, brothers, smash it for me. With an order, the 6 bodyguards in black suits behind him suddenly jumped up and smashed the living room. The good new house was instantly turned into a mess. You bastards! You are going too far. Seeing his new house being smashed, Chen could no longer bear it and rushed over to fight. However, in front of the professional bodyguards, an ordinary person seemed so weak. Bang! With one punch, Chen's nose was broken, and he immediately fell to the ground with blood flowing from his mouth and nose. Chenna! Chenna! Chen and his mother Yi Yuqin cried and hugged Chen tightly in their arms, protecting him with their bodies. Bang! 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 The bodyguards showed no mercy and punched and kicked the 2 old people. Enough, don't beat him to death, or I'll ask you for money. After beating him for several minutes, Song Zijin stopped his men, walked over while smoking a cigar, and said, listen to me, 1 million, not a cent less. I'll come back to collect the money in 3 days. If you can't pay, it won't be as simple as a beating. After that, he left with his men. Well, it doesn't hurt anymore. I don't know how long it took. Chen woke up from his coma and was surprised to find that his broken nose had recovered. It was as if he had never been injured. He didn't have time to think about it. He looked up and saw his parents protecting him. He almost cried out, "Dad! Mom! Are you okay?" If it weren't for him, how could his parents suffer such a punishment? However, when Chen's hands touched his parents, an even more incredible scene appeared. A glittering green light appeared in his palm, and then penetrated into the bodies of the two elders. The two elders woke up instantly as if they were poured with a basin of cold water, and the bruises on their bodies disappeared unconsciously. "Chenna, how are you? Let me see." After waking up, the two elders were still worried about Chen's condition. Chen cried, "Dad, Mom, I'm sorry, I hurt you." Poor parents in the world. Because of him, the already poor family became even worse. Just then, the people who demanded compensation also came. "Old Su, didn't you promise to pay back the money you borrowed from me after your son got married? Now that the marriage is over, shouldn't you pay me back? Chinen, you borrowed 100,000 yuan from me, it's time to pay it back. Old Su, for the sake of our long-term friendship, I won't make things difficult for you. How about paying back half of it first? And pay back my money, too." After learning about today's changes, these people were worried that the Su family would not be able to pay in the future, so they came to the door to collect the debt overnight. Chinen had no words to say and shed tears. Where is the money? Because of his son's marriage, the family has long been unable to make ends meet. Uncles and uncles, I, Chen, am responsible for my own actions. You don't need to make things difficult for my father. I will pay you back. Please give me a few more days, okay? But at this time, Chen resolutely spoke. For an ordinary family, it is impossible to repay a debt of millions in a short time, but Chen has no other choice at this moment. The debt collectors also know that the Su family is running out of money, and it is useless to force them. They can only leave for the time being and leave a message to come back to ask for money in a few days. Afterwards, Chen and his parents packed up in a mess for most of the night, and did not return to the room until more than 3 o'clock in the morning. A few days, it seems that I can only sell my kidney. Lying on the bed, Chen looked at the ceiling helplessly, worrying secretly. Getting married, and finally losing both money and money, owing a lot of debts. If it were someone else, I'm afraid they would have jumped off the building long ago. Just when he was sad, his sight gradually focused, and he penetrated through the ceiling and saw the beautiful neighbor upstairs getting up to go to the toilet at night. Chen watched the whole process, so clear, as if it was a live broadcast. Until the female neighbor put on her pants and went back to her room to sleep again. Fuck. It's like this again. Can I really see through things? He sat up from the bed with a look of shock on his face. Chapter 2, A Small Test. Chen was quite shocked. Thinking back to the identity information displayed above Lu Xiaomai and the others' heads earlier today, he realized that it was not an illusion, it was real. Let me try again. He was still somewhat in disbelief. Then he looked at the wardrobe, his eyes narrowing, and his gaze pierced through the wardrobe door, clearly seeing the neatly folded clothes inside. Upon a closer look, even the information about the wardrobe appeared. Name, solid wood wardrobe. Material, red pine wood. Purpose, storing clothes. Not only could he see through things, but he could also see their usage and function. Damn. I really can see through things now. How did this happen? Chen couldn't understand why his body had undergone such a change, but at that moment, he couldn't contain his excitement. With this ability, did it mean he could turn his life around? The next morning, Chen walked confidently into the largest company in Zhonghai City, Strong Group, ready to apply for a job as a sewer repairman. If he could use his ability to see through pipes, finding blockages would be a breeze. Clearing them would be child's play. However, within 10 minutes, a group of security guards had cursed and kicked him out, thinking he was just causing trouble. Damn it. A bunch of blind idiots, chasing away a rare talent like me. Chen grumbled as he prepared to apply to another company. At that moment, 2 people in the waiting area caught his attention. Boss Gao, this is top quality stuff, especially reserved for you. Don't hesitate, 3 million is already the friendly price. On the sofa in the waiting area, two elderly men seemed to be discussing business. One of them, an old man with gold teeth, pointed at a painting on the coffee table and said, "This is an original piece by the famous Ming Dynasty painter, Wang Lin. A rare treasure. Just yesterday, someone offered 5 million to buy it, but I didn't sell it. I've kept it here just for you." The elderly man known as Boss Gao carefully examined the painting for a long time before saying, "The painting is indeed beautiful, with stunning artistic conception and exceptional technique, but..." He didn't finish his sentence. Chen, unable to resist his curiosity, walked over to take a look, eager to try out his new ability. Sure enough, as soon as he glanced at the painting, the information appeared instantly. Title: Beauty emerging from the bath. Dynasty: Ming Dynasty imitation, modern craftsmanship. Value: low. Flaws: paper quality and signature. It was actually a forgery. Damn. I really can use this ability for appraising antiques. Chen was thrilled. He had only wanted to test it out, but it worked, and not only could he tell whether antiques were genuine, but he could also pinpoint the flaws. This was truly an amazing ability. Meanwhile, Boss Gao smiled lightly and said, "Old Jin, we've known each other for years, so let us be direct. I'm not interested in this painting. If someone offers 5 million, sell it to them." Old Jin immediately became anxious. "Boss Gao, this is an exceptional painting, are you really not interested?" Boss Gao smiled, "Since it's such a great painting, you don't need to worry about finding someone to collect it. Just find another buyer." With that, he stood up and walked away. As an art collector, Boss Gao could easily tell that this painting was a poor quality copy, but out of courtesy, he didn't want to point it out directly. Old Jin sat on the sofa, sighing, knowing that this business deal had fallen through. After watching the scene, Chen was about to leave, but just as he turned around, the information in his vision suddenly flickered and updated. Huh. He looked closely and saw that another line of text had appeared beneath the painting's information. There's more to it. Premium. High value. Wait, what? There's more to it. He froze for a moment. What did this mean? Could the painting have a hidden secret? He focused again, and sure enough, there was something unusual about the painting. At this point, he was fully confident in his newfound ability. As Old Jin got up to pack up and leave, Chen immediately called out, "Wait! He doesn't want the painting, but I do." This caught Boss Gao's attention, and he turned back to size up Chen. Seeing that he was just a young man, he kindly advised, "Young man, you seem new to this. Antique collecting is a great hobby, but not everyone is suited for it. You should consider your budget." "Thanks for the concern, but I know my limits." Chen understood the meaning behind those words, smiling as he responded. Then he turned to Old Jin, saying, "I really want this painting. Could you sell it to me for a lower price?" Old Jin looked at Chen with disdain. "It's already very cheap. Let me be blunt, how much can you pay?" Chen said earnestly, "How about $10? $10? This made Boss Gao laugh, while Old Jin was enraged. "I've lost my mind. I'm dealing with a brat like you. Fine, consider today a loss for me, I'm out of here." Old Jin muttered, packing up his things. Chen didn't give up, stubbornly clinging to Old Jin's leg, shamelessly pleading, "Boss, please. I only have $10 left. Sell it to me." Boss Gao laughed out loud, amused by the young man's antics, and became a little more fond of him. He then kindly advised, "Young man, let me tell you straight, this painting is a forgery. It's worthless." One sentence made Old Jin feel thoroughly embarrassed. He was about to make a quick exit. Indeed, it was a fake. He had bought it for a few $100 from the countryside, but it did have some redeeming qualities that most people wouldn't notice. He had planned to sell it to an unknowing buyer for a hefty profit. Chen didn't let go, clinging to Old Jin's leg as he continued to beg, "I know it's a fake." Wang Lin was a famous painter in the Ming Dynasty, known for his strict requirements for his works. This painting has poor paper quality, so it couldn't have been made by him. Also, the signature ancient painters always had pen names. If this was really Wang Lin's work, the signature would have been Wang Lin, not just his full name. It shows that the person who copied this painting was skilled in technique but lacked true talent. He explained the details of the painting's flaws as described by his vision. This immediately caught Boss Gao's attention. He was amazed. Everything this young man had said was exactly what he had been thinking. Impressive, impressive. You have a sharp eye and meticulous thoughts. There are not many young people these days who can see things so clearly. Boss Gao gave Chen a thumbs up, now looking at him with more respect. He started to wonder about this young man's identity. Someone so young with such extraordinary insight, he couldn't be simple, could he? However, Boss Gao still didn't understand why Chen, knowing it was a forgery, still wanted to buy it. Old Jin, he said suddenly, how about this? I'll offer you 10,000 for this painting, and you can sell it to this young man. The 10,000 wasn't for the painting, it was because Boss Gao was eager to find out what Chen was really up to. Chapter 3, The Hidden Secret. Mr. Gao's words left old Jin with a stunned expression. What's going on? Paying 10,000 yuan for this crazy kid to buy a fake painting. Wasn't it already clear that the painting was a forgery? But adhering to the principle of, if there's money to be made, don't pass it up, old Jin cautiously asked, Mr. Gao, are you serious? You can't back out on this. Serious, no regrets. I can pay you first. Mr. Gao immediately made the decision and transferred 10,000 yuan to old Jin's account. Old Jin looked at the transaction notification and grinned from ear to ear. Mr. Gao, you're generous. Fine, it's a deal. Although it was far below the expected price, at least he had closed a deal and still made some profit. It wasn't a wasted trip. Little brother, I've bought the painting for you. Here, take it. Mr. Gao personally handed the beauty coming out of the bath painting to Chen. Chen held the painting with both hands in a devout manner, as if receiving an imperial edict. What a lucky find. This is great, now I can pay off my debts. He was so excited that he almost burst into tears. Nearby, old Jin was laughing hysterically at the comical young man. Are you stupid? Didn't you just say this painting was a fake? Now that the money was in hand, old Jin didn't mind saying the truth. After all, it wasn't a scam, it was obvious. A fool and a willing victim. Chen didn't respond. Instead, he laid the painting out on the coffee table, unrolled the scroll, and began inspecting it closely. He turned it over and over, as if looking for something. Old Jin couldn't help but mock, kid, there's no point in looking any further. Even if your eyes rot, it's still the same painting. Is it? Chen suddenly found the breakthrough, his face lighting up with a confident smile. He took out a key and started scraping along the edges of the painting. Within moments, a tear appeared in the paper. Seeing this, Mr. Gao's eyes immediately widened, and he exclaimed, I get it. It's a 3-ply Zun paper. This was a special type of rice paper with a unique production technique. Chen carefully tore the top and bottom layers of paper, revealing a thin, translucent sheet in the middle completely different from the painting. This is. At the same time, both old Jin and Mr. Gao were struck dumb with shock. The hidden painting was an exquisite piece featuring the stamp and inscription of Bada Shan Ren, a renowned artist. Not only was the craftsmanship outstanding and lifelike, but the preservation was also exceptional. It was a masterpiece. Bada Shan Ren. This is the real work of Bada Shan Ren. At that moment, old Jin was completely dumbfounded. He had just mocked Chen earlier, but now he realized that the fool was actually him. The genuine works of Bada Shan Ren were extremely rare, and their market value was at least 5 million yuan. Mr. Gao was also stunned, quickly walking over to examine the painting up close, and couldn't help but marvel, amazing. Truly a priceless masterpiece. I remember a few years ago, there was another painting of Bada Shan Ren at the Bowan Pavilion auction in Zhonghai. The quality was much worse, but it still sold for 5.8 million yuan. This painting, however, its value is beyond measure. Hearing this, old Jin, who had already given up on life, felt his legs go weak. He nearly collapsed to the ground, his heart heavy with regret. He had just sold a painting worth millions for a mere 10,000 yuan. He had been smug moments ago, but now he wished he could die. Little brother, I never thought you'd have such an eye at such a young age. I truly admire you. Mr. Gao was completely impressed. The 10,000 yuan was well worth it. With such a remarkable ability, it was clear that this young man was no ordinary person. Mr. Gao had developed a keen interest in him and smiled. Earlier, you mentioned wanting to pay off your debts. It seems like you're going through some tough times. I happen to be a collector, and I'd like to buy this painting from you. Don't worry, I'll give you the highest market price. How about 8 million? 8 million. This offer left Chen stunned as well. That amount of money was something he'd only seen at funerals. What was that supposed to mean? He worked hard every month, earning a few thousand yuan at most. He probably wouldn't make 8 million in his entire life. Little brother, perhaps you think this isn't enough? Fine, then you name your price. No matter how much, I, Mr. Gao, will pay. Mr. Gao's voice boomed with generosity. Money meant nothing to him. Chen smiled and waved his hand. Mr. Gao, you misunderstood. That's not what I meant. Honestly, I just bought this on a whim, and you gave me the opportunity to try. This painting really should belong to you. Since you like it, you can have it. With that, he carefully rolled up the painting and presented it with both hands. Mr. Gao was taken aback. Little brother, you're giving the painting to me? Chen said with a serious expression, not giving. It's returning what belongs to its rightful owner. You paid for it, so it belongs to you. All right. All right. You truly impress me time and again, young man. You're a rare gem. Mr. Gao was thoroughly impressed and smiled, but I, Gao Chong, never take advantage of others. I want the painting, but I will definitely pay you what it's worth. 8 million. You won't lose a single cent. With that, he signed a check. Chen felt honored but couldn't refuse, so he reluctantly accepted. Thank you, Mr. Gao. He then turned to leave. However, what he didn't notice was that the security guards, who had once insulted and kicked him out, were now incredibly respectful. They opened the door for him and saw him off, treating him as if he were an honored guest. Come here. After Chen left, Mr. Gao waved to the security guards by the door. The guards quickly approached, bowing and nodding. Mr. Gao, you called for us. How could they not show respect? This was Mr. Gao Chong, the boss of the Xingxing group. What was that young man here for? Mr. Gao asked. The guards were now sweating with fear, nervously stammering. He came to apply for a position as a store maintenance worker, but he had no experience, so we kicked him out. Bastards! Mr. Gao's face turned red with fury. You didn't recognize such talent. How could you let someone like him slip through our fingers? Immediately investigate all his information and send it to me. And you, each one of you, write a self-criticism. The guards knew they were in the wrong after seeing the events in the waiting area, and they could only accept the reprimand. Who could have imagined that a dragon had been mistaken for a worm? Mr. Gao, don't you think you paid too much for the painting at 8 million? At that moment, old Jin, who was still on the ground, finally spoke up. Mr. Gao turned to him with a dismissive smile, replying, Old Jin, do you know why your business has never grown over the years? He didn't finish the sentence but gave a meaningful look and turned to leave. As a passionate collector and appraisal expert, Mr. Gao had been unable to detect the hidden treasure in the beauty coming out of the bath painting. But this young man had seen it immediately. Anyone with such an ability was not simple. Such a person was worth cultivating. If they can win them over, they should never make them an enemy. Chapter 4 can also be used for gambling on stones. Chen was in a good mood and made a lot of money in his first practice. 8 million. In the past, I wouldn't even dare to think about it. He began to think. How many packs of instant noodles can I buy with this much money? I used to be reluctant to eat the ones that came in a bucket, but now I can eat as much as I want. Bar. You are such a loser. You can eat out every day with so much money. Why are you still eating instant noodles? No, I still have to save money. I have to pay off my foreign debts first, and give the remaining money to my parents to save. Crunch. Just as I was lost in thought, I suddenly heard the sound of brakes on the side of the road. Then a small black car stopped and several people got out of the car in a menacing manner. 3 boys and 1 girl. The men all looked ferocious and held sharp blades in their hands. The woman, on the other hand, was a little shy and seemed reluctant to get off the car. That's the guy, right? The leading man rushed to Chen in 2 steps, blocking his way, and shouted, Boy, are you Chen? Chen came back to his senses, looked up, scratched his head and asked, Brother, who are you? My name is Shen Miao. Damn it, you're the one who took away my sister's virginity. The man looked fierce. At the same time, the other two men rushed up from the left and right, trapping Su Chen in the middle. Su Chen then noticed that the woman not far away was Shen Miao, who was pushed down on the bed and severely punished by him yesterday. "Oh, I know who you are." He was not afraid at all, and had expected this day to come. He said unconvincedly, "I did it, what do you want?" If Shen Miao had not been so aggressive, how could he have vented his anger on Shen Miao? Do honest people deserve to be bullied? Do honest people have to be exploited? What do you want? Boy, you are so arrogant. Shen Dao's eyes widened and he said fiercely, "Do you know who my sister is? You are simply courting death. If I don't kill you today, I won't be called Shen." After saying that, he raised the machete and chopped down at Su Chen's head. However, a magical scene appeared. Kindness. Su Chen instinctively wanted to dodge, but was surprised to find that he could actually see clearly Shen Dao's chopping movements. Good. Very clear. In his eyes, everything seemed to be frozen, so slow. How so? His face was full of confusion, and he subconsciously dodged to the side. The blade passed by his ear by just a millimeter. Didn't he cut it? This sudden scene left Shen Dao dumbfounded. How dare you hide? Bang! He raised his hand and slashed again. This time, he went straight for Su Chen's neck. If he chopped it down, Su Chen's head would definitely be moved away. However, the same scene happened again. Still very slow. Only then did Su Chen realize that his eyes, in addition to being able to see through and clearly identify the properties of objects, also had the ability to capture motion. Since you can see clearly, fighting back is a piece of cake. Bang! He ducked to avoid the machete and punched Shen Dao in the chest. Push! 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 Shen Dao took a solid punch and retreated 3 steps. Boy, you! His face was full of disbelief. Before coming here, he investigated the information about Su Chen. He was just an employee of a small company. How could he have such good skills? What are you guys still standing there for? Come on! Seeing that he had suffered a loss, Shen Dao became furious and yelled at his 2 men. The 2 men reacted and immediately raised their knives to chop. Boom! 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 However, just as they made a move, Su Chen punched them and left them with a black eye and a swollen face. Damn it! Trash! Too trash! Shen Dao was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. 3 can't beat 1. A hero does not eat what is in front of him. He pointed at Su Chen and cursed, "Boy, remember this, you have offended the Shen family. This matter is not over yet, someone will come to settle the score with you." After saying that, he pulled Shen Miao into the car, and the group left in a dusty state. The wind is blowing gently. Su Chen was still a little overwhelmed. Everything happened too fast. He looked at his hands and said in disbelief, "Oh my god, I have become so powerful." But why? He just pushed Shen Miao down once, why did he seem like a different person? Su Chen suddenly remembered that no matter whether it was Shen Miao or Shen Dao, they always emphasized Shen Miao's identity, as if this woman had some unspeakable secret. But he was too lazy to think about it. It was a blessing in disguise. If it was a disaster, it couldn't be avoided. It didn't matter. He was about to take a taxi home, but at this moment, a burst of noise from the market next to him caught his attention. When I looked up, I found that I had unknowingly arrived at the Jade City Market. All the stores in this place sell jewelry, and the noisy sound came from the largest jewelry store in the market, Song's Jewelry Store. It turned out that a grand gambling stone event was being held today. Betting on stones. Su Chen's eyes lit up and he suddenly had an idea. Can I see the distribution inside the stone with my own eyes? He walked over with the mentality of giving it a try. There were quite a lot of people gathered in front of the gambling stone stall, and it was very lively. However, there were only 3 people who were seriously selecting the materials. On one side was a young girl, very beautiful, wearing a sexy tube top that revealed her slender waist and the waves of her chest. On the lower body, she wore a thigh-length miniskirt that revealed a pair of straight and slender legs in seductive black stockings. Those people who were watching the fun around seemed to be there to watch the gambling on stones, but in fact they were all drooling as they secretly stared at her. No wonder, any man would be unable to help but take a few more glances at such a gorgeous little beauty in black stockings. Even Su Chen was no exception. After just one look, he collected his thoughts and focused his attention on the raw stone. There is an open space in front, with hundreds of raw stones of various sizes placed there. I can see it. He secretly rejoiced. At first glance, the bright green light flickered continuously, which proved that many of the stones contained jade. Handsome boy, all the men are secretly looking at me, but you don't seem to have any interest in me. Is it because I'm not pretty enough to attract you? Just as I was watching with great interest, the beautiful girl in black stockings suddenly spoke. Chen was a little surprised. He didn't expect that this girl would take the initiative to talk to him. When he turned around, he saw the girl staring at him with an extremely charming look. That look was so seductive that all the men around them couldn't help swallowing. Chen still had his X-ray vision on at this moment, and his sight immediately penetrated the clothes of the beautiful girl in black stockings. The turbulent waves and the mysterious garden below were all in sight. He almost had a nosebleed when he saw it, and cursed himself for being useless. It's not like he had never seen a woman before. The funny look made the beautiful girl in black stockings burst into laughter. This smile made her even more charming and attractive, making the men who were peeking at her around feel distracted. Chen. It's you? But at this moment, an extremely familiar voice suddenly came from the other side. Chen subconsciously turned his head and looked at the man and woman who were gambling on stones next to him. Only then did he see clearly that these two people were actually Song Zijian and Liu Xiaomai. Chapter 5. Do you dare to play a game with me? What a narrow road the enemies meet. When enemies meet, they become extremely jealous of each other. Chen couldn't help but clench his fists. It was this woman who drained all his savings and made him lose face in front of his relatives and friends. Not only that, after breaking off the engagement, he brought people to smash and destroy the house, and demanded a huge compensation of 1 million. I was wondering if you looked so familiar. It turns out it was you. Song Zijian also recognized him and couldn't help but laugh, saying, "You are really brave. After being beaten by me, you still dare to run to my territory." His territory? Only then did Chen understand that the name of this jewelry store was Song S. Mr. Song, I'm here to gamble on stones. You're opening the door to do business, so you won't turn away customers, right? He forced himself to calm down. It was just right to settle all the new and old grudges together. Song Zijian snorted coldly and said disdainfully, "You reacted quite quickly. But it's a pity that I don't entertain beggars. You'd better go back and find a way to get 1 million. I said, I will only give you 3 days. If you still can't come up with the money when the time is up, your whole family will have no good life. This is too much. 1 million is all he talks about. But when has Chen ever owed them money? It was Liu Xiaomai who broke off the engagement, and she was also the one who ran away from the marriage. She did not return any of the betrothal gifts and gold items, but instead demanded compensation. Chen suppressed the anger in his heart and said, "Mr. Song, I am not a beggar." He took out the check for 8 million and showed it to everyone, which instantly caused quite a commotion at the scene. 8 million. This is not something that can be taken out casually. Song Zijian and Liu Xiaomai were also surprised and a little bit unbelievable. Where did this kid get so much money? Boy, you have some skills. It seems that you have already raised the money. I don't need to wait any longer. Just give it to me directly. Song Zijian thought Chen was here to give him money, so he reached out to take the check. Chen quickly took it back. "Mr. Song, why are you so anxious? Do you want the money so badly? I'm here to gamble on stones, and I haven't even started playing yet." A cunning look suddenly flashed in Liu Xiaomai's eyes, and she whispered in Song Zijian's ear, "Little darling, since this rubbish is giving you money, why don't you accept it all?" From the intimate actions, any discerning person can tell that the two people are in a relationship. Chen also noticed it and couldn't help but grit his teeth in hatred. Only then did he realize that he had been deceived by this woman from the beginning to the end. He laughed at himself, showing his bitterness. "Liu Xiaomai, you are so cruel. I knew she was a gold digger, but I didn't expect she would be such a bitch. She is not my mother's family at all, she is just my mistress. Chen, you are no longer of any use to me. I am not afraid to tell you that young Master Song and I have been together for a long time. Are you angry? For so long, you haven't even touched my hand, but on the first day young Master Song met me, he touched me all over my body." Liu Xiaomai looked very proud, showing off her achievements. Chen was shaking with hatred, slapped the check on the table, and said resolutely, "Mr. Song, I can give you the money, how about we play a game?" Seeing that the boy had taken the bait, Song Zijin snorted coldly. Okay, how do you want to play? It's like gambling on stones. Whoever opens a stone with a higher value wins. If I lose, the 8 million is yours. If I win, Lu Xiaomai will give back all the money she got from me. These words made Lu Xiaomai and Song Zijin laugh out loud. Song Zijin laughed out loud. Boy, you are so brave that you dare to play gambling with me. Okay, I will play with you, but the stakes are not exciting enough. How about this? If you win, Xiaomai and I will kowtow to you and apologize, but if you lose, we will chop off your hands. How about that? Su Chen gritted his teeth and said, Okay, I accept it. Wow. As soon as these words were spoken, there was an uproar at the scene. The crowd, who were originally just watching the fun, suddenly became agitated. Cut off a pair of hands. Isn't this playing with your life? Everyone here knows that Song Zijin's family owns a jewelry store, and this stone gambling event was also organized by the Song family. Competing in stone gambling with him is like waving a sword in front of Guangdong. It's obvious that we can't compare. How dare he accept such unfair conditions? Is this guy mentally ill? Are you here to die on purpose? At this time, the beautiful girl in black silk stockings said, Little handsome boy, I'm trying to provoke you, don't be led by the nose. She stretched out her slender hands charmingly and brushed her bangs, looking seductive. Thank you. I know my limits. In response to her reminder, Su Chen simply said one sentence, and then went down to choose stones. He used his eyes of perspective to scan through a pile of raw stones and selected the one he liked best, which was also the largest one. That's it. However, when he moved the stone out, he immediately caused a burst of laughter. Har har har. This guy is really looking for death. You were so confident, I thought you had some ability, but I didn't expect you to be such a fool. The stone that Su Chen chose was as big as a fitness ball. It took a lot of effort to get it on the table. Song Zijin couldn't stop laughing. Har har har, kid, you don't think that the bigger the stone, the more likely it is to produce green. Is there any need to compare? Judging from Song Zijin's experience, it was just a piece of waste stone used to fill the quantity and had no quality at all. He knew that Su Chen was an idiot, but he never expected him to be such an idiot. Come here with a few men, bring a knife, don't let this guy get away. With a shout, a group of bodyguards rushed out of the store and surrounded Su Chen. These people were the Song family's men who broke Su Chen's nose and beat his parents last night. Song Zijin looked confident of winning, and walked down the stage leisurely, picking out a rough stone of excellent quality. Boy, open your eyes wide and see clearly what real gambling on stones is. With a proud look on his face, he signaled to the stone-cutting master next to him that they could start cutting the stone. The master immediately took the stone to the cutting machine. First, a thin cut is wiped along the edge, which is called window wiping. Mr. Song, you have a good eye, it's green. The stone cutter was the first to see it and exclaimed in surprise. According to preliminary judgment, there should be a piece of turquoise inside, which is also a rare treasure of jade. Opening a piece of green was a piece of cake for Song Zijin. He said calmly, Open them all and see how many there are. Okay. The stone-cutting master responded and continued his operation. Not long after, a turquoise the size of an egg was opened out. The stone cutter held it in his palm, nodded uncontrollably, and praised, This turquoise has pure water head and excellent color. It can be sold for at least hundreds of thousands. Congratulations, Mr. Song. It's nothing. Song Zijin didn't care and turned to look at Su Chen. With such a wonderful example before them, everyone turned their attention to Su Chen. Even though he knew he was courting death, everyone wanted to see how this guy would kill himself. Su Chen curled his lips and said disapprovingly, Master, it's my turn now. Please, I need to clean the windows with my stones first. The stone cutter had a look of disgust on his face. It was just a piece of waste stone, but it required so much trouble. Helpless, I could only do as I was told, then start the machine and start cutting. It was also at this moment that a jaw-dropping scene appeared. Chapter 6 actually opened a piece of top-quality ice species. As the cutting machine cut the stone, a green light flashed instantly. The crowd watching suddenly became restless. What was that just now? I didn't see it clearly, it looked like a green light. No way, is there really green in it? Song Zijin couldn't sit still any longer, and walked to the side of the machine with a serious look on his face, and said to the stone cutter, Hurry up, clean the windows on all sides. The stone-cutting master did not dare to slack off and immediately sped up the operation. Soon, cuts were made on all four sides of the huge stone. Swish! As the skylight cover fell, a green light flashed out, strong enough to pierce through the lights. At this moment, the scene was completely silent. Everyone widened their eyes and stared at the stones selected by Chen. There is green on all sides. Moreover, the color is extremely bright and the water is pure. It is actually a piece of ice type. According to preliminary estimates, such a large piece of ice type is worth at least 8 figures. Comparing it horizontally with the egg-sized turquoise that Song Zijin opened, one is in the sky and the other is on the ground. How could this happen? Song Zijin was confused. Even Lu Xiaomai beside her was confused. This useless thing, when did his luck become so good? Boy, I want your material. I'll pay you 5 million. You want to rob him, right? Ignore him, sell it to me, I'll give you 6 million. I'll give you 8 million. After a brief silence, the crowd broke out into a violent commotion. Such a top-quality piece can be said to be unparalleled in the world. Anyone who likes gambling on stones will love it. Everyone was attracted by the top-quality ice-type turquoise that Chen opened. Who would care about Song Zijin's egg-shaped turquoise? Faced with everyone scrambling to bid, Chen remained unmoved and stared straight at Song Zijin. What he wants is not money, but a sense of pride. Handsome boy, I'll pay you 15 million. Can you give me this piece of ice? But suddenly, an abrupt voice was heard. Everyone was shocked and turned to look at the beautiful girl in black stockings who was bidding the price. 15 million. This is a shocking number. Who is this little beauty, the daughter of a wealthy family? She is so rich. Are you sure? Chen, who had originally been indifferent, was tempted by such an attractive price. The beautiful girl in black stockings smiled and said, "Of course. Okay, but I can't talk to you until I finish what I'm doing." Chen said, looking at Song Zijin with cold eyes, "Mr. Song, you lost. According to the agreement, all the money Lu Xiaomai got from me must be returned. Also, you and her must kneel down and kowtow to me to apologize." Finally waited for this moment. The humiliation and harm he suffered can finally be settled. Song Zijin gritted his teeth and was shaking with anger. Who could have thought that this kid was so lucky? After a long while, he calmed down, suppressed his anger and said, "Okay, I'll accept the loss." Then he looked at the Song family men around him and gave them a wink. The men immediately understood what was going on and began to disperse the crowd, including the beautiful girl in black stockings. Today's event ends here, please come back tomorrow. Get out, we're closed today. Soon, Chen was the only guest left at the scene. After the crowd was driven away, the Song family's men took out their weapons and surrounded Chen again. Judging from the situation, he has no intention of letting Chen leave alive. "Mr. Song, it seems like you want to cheat." Chen looked around and understood. Song Zijin snorted coldly, "Boy, you are looking for death yourself, don't blame me." Lu Xiaomai also followed and said sarcastically, "Chen, you really don't have a brain. This is young Master Song's territory. You embarrassed young Master Song in front of so many people. If he doesn't kill you, how can you survive in this area in the future? There's no way you can ask her to return the betrothal money. What are you still standing there for? Cut off his hands first." Song Zijin couldn't wait to kill Chen and immediately ordered his men to act. Bang! Bang! Then, densely packed blades chopped and slashed at Chen's body. Chen was not at all panicked. With a glance of his eyes of perspective, all their machetes' chopping trajectories and landing points appeared in his mind. He immediately made the best dodging route and avoided several attacks in succession. At this moment, he found the Song family's henchman who broke his nose yesterday in the crowd, and his anger was instantly ignited. "This is the second time you've attacked me, it's my turn to fight back." Bang! After dodging another chop, Chen took advantage of the situation and punched the man fiercely in the face. Snap! The man's nose bridge was broken and blood gushed out from his nose like a flood. "R!" Screams echoed throughout the entire market. This scene made everyone's eyes widen in shock. With the strength of one person, he resisted the simultaneous attack of a group of people without any harm, and even managed to injure one of them in the counterattack. How could this be possible? Waste. You are such a waste. With so many of you, you can't even beat one person. Is it all in vain that I eat so much every day? What are you doing? Go ahead and kill him. Song Zijian roared. When had he ever suffered such humiliation? He actually let a loser run wild in his territory. The curses made the men come to their senses and they raised their machetes again, ready to chop. However, at this moment, I wonder who dares to touch him? A scolding voice came. Da. Messy footsteps. Immediately afterwards, a dozen sturdy men rushed over. Put your weapons down, everyone. Did you hear me? Put your weapons down. Let's see who dares to resist. Do you want to die? Each of these dozen people had an extraordinary demeanor and had black tiger tattoos on their necks. This is the logo of the Zhonghai Black Tiger Society. The Song family's men recognized the mark and were so scared that they quickly threw their weapons to the ground. Mr. Song, you are so impressive. At this time, a middle-aged man with a dignified face walked over from behind the crowd. When Song Zijian saw him, his expression suddenly changed, and he hurriedly went to greet him respectfully. Oh, it turns out that it's Master Long who is here. This person is incredible. He is the largest grey force in Zhonghai, the boss of the Black Tiger Society, named Long Xiaoqian. A big shot who could shake the entire Zhonghai with just a stomp of his foot. Master Long, you came here without even telling me in advance so I could prepare some drinks to entertain you. Long Xiaoqian didn't even bother to look at him, pointed at Su Chen and said, I want to take this person away. What? You want to take him away? Song Zijian was dumbfounded. Lu Xiaomai was dumbfounded. Including the entire group of Song family's men, they were all dumbfounded. What's going on? When did Su Chen, this useless thing, get close to the big boss Long Xiaoqian? It must be fake, right? Chapter 7 The Debt Collector is coming. Song Zijian and the others looked at each other in disbelief. When did this useless guy Su Chen get to know the big boss Long Xiaoqian? Why, do you have any objections? When Long Xiaoqian saw his hesitation, his expression suddenly changed. Song Zijian hurriedly bowed his head and said, No, Lord Long, how dare I object? Since you asked me to do it, I must do it. Helpless, he could only let his men disperse. Otherwise, if Lord Long is angered, the Song family will have no place in Zhonghai in the future. But Song Zijian just couldn't understand. Su Chen was just a waste. How could he possibly ask Lord Long to come forward? You know, even the Song family doesn't he have such great power? Then, under the escort of Long Xiaoqian, Su Chen walked out of the market safely. Before leaving, he did not forget to carry away the huge piece of top-quality ice jade he had opened. Mr. Song, that guy, seems like he didn't give any money. After everyone had left, the subordinate whose nose was broken by Su Chen endured the severe pain and gave a reminder. Fuck. Bastard. Bang. Song Zijian reacted, slapped him, and cursed, Why didn't you remind me earlier? The person has already gone far away, it's too late to catch up. What a loss. Blood loss. Not only did he not get the 1 million, but his men were also injured. The key point was that the stone that the kid opened belonged to the Song family, and he didn't even pay the cost price for opening the stone, but he took away a piece of ice stone worth tens of millions for nothing. Song Zijian was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He had always been a domineering person in this area. When had he ever suffered such a big loss? Now. Next to the road. Su Chen has been sent out safely. In a good mood. He had received a check for 8 million yuan in the morning, and now he was getting a piece of top-grade ice-type stone worth tens of millions for free from the Song family. The only regret was that he was unable to make Song Zijian and Lu Xiaomai kneel on the ground and kowtow to apologize, but there was still a long time to go, and he would settle these accounts one day. Mr. Long, right? Excuse me, do you know me? After coming out, Su Chen couldn't help but speak out the doubts in his mind. Long Xiaoqian smiled and said, I don't know you, but someone asked me to come and bring you out safely. Little brother, you are very special. Not to mention that he received special care from his master. Just look at the scene in the market just now. Facing the siege of so many people from the Song family, he was completely unharmed and even killed one. This alone is enough to surprise people. This kid is definitely not simple. Master Long. What did you say? Someone asked you to protect me. Su Chen was stunned. He didn't know Long Xiaoqian at all, and he had no idea who Long Xiaoqian served. But looking at Song Zijian's servile appearance, you can tell that this person has an extraordinary status and position. It is obvious that the person who can order this person around must be even more extraordinary. Little brother, my mission has been completed. I cannot stay any longer. We will meet again if fate permits. Goodbye. Long Xiaoqian didn't explain much. He just bowed and said goodbye and left. Only Su Chen was left standing there in a daze with a confused look on his face. Little handsome boy, you finally came out. I've been waiting for you for a long time. But at this moment, a tingling sound came from the side. Su Chen turned his head and saw a girl who looked like a foxy girl sticking her head out of the window of a luxurious red BMW car on the side of the road. Is it you? Su Chen recognized her. It was the beautiful girl in black stockings. Are you waiting for me here? The beautiful girl in black stockings smiled playfully. Yes, didn't you agree to sell the ice seed to me? The price has been agreed upon. Do you want to go back on your word? That's not what I meant. Su Chen was a little surprised. He didn't expect that such a dangerous scene just now did not scare this little beauty away. She actually had the courage to wait outside. He scratched his head and said, since you like it, I'll sell it to you. The little beauty rolled her eyes, looking very clever, and said, but I don't have that much money on me right now. How about you give me the ice seed first, and then come to my company tomorrow to get the money, is that okay? Sure, where is your company? Su Chen agreed without hesitation. Such straightforwardness surprised the beautiful girl in black stockings. She had originally just wanted to test the waters, but she couldn't help but admire the young man in front of her even more. He, don't worry, I won't take it for free. I'll give you a small deposit first. She unbuckled her seatbelt, opened her collar with her fair and slender hand, and reached into her clothes with her other hand, unbuttoned the buttons that were tightly attached to her boobs, and took out a small black lace bra. She said, this is a token of the deposit. I'll leave it for you as a keepsake. Su Chen almost had a nosebleed. He took the small mask with trembling hands, his mind went blank. This woman is so charming. She actually gave away her underwear. By the way, my name is Gao Shahan, what's your name? She leaned on the car window, gently lifted her chin with one hand, and stared at Su Chen with a smile, as if she was very interested in Su Chen. My name is Su Chen. He forced himself to calm down, but he was still a little nervous. He couldn't help but curse himself for being useless. It's not like he had never seen a woman before. He then asked for the address of Gao Shahan's company, put the ice seed in the trunk, and left in a hurry. You have to leave. If you stay any longer, you'll really have a nosebleed. Miss, I have already done what you asked me to do. When Su Chen left, Gao Shahan received a call. Long Xiaoqian's voice was heard from the other end of the phone. Looking at Su Chen's back as he walked away, Gao Shahan asked with interest, Mr. Long, what do you think of Su Chen? Long Xiaoqian was silent for a long time, and finally said for words resolutely, it must be very difficult. A light flashed in Gao Shahan's beautiful eyes, exactly the same as her judgment. Let me ask you, can someone who can select the least promising stone from hundreds of raw stones and produce a top-quality ice-type stone be an ordinary person? Also, facing so many subordinates of Song Zijian, he remained calm and even dared to use his own hands as stakes, as if he didn't think he would lose at all. Is this kind of courage something that ordinary people can possess? This person is definitely not an ordinary person. Su Chen. Gao Shahan murmured his name, are you the one I've been looking for so hard? As if she had confirmed something, she immediately said to the other end of the phone, Mr. Long, please make arrangements. I want to take Su Chen to Buyuan Pavilion tomorrow. Xinyuan Community. Su Chen had already gone to the bank to withdraw the money from the check and returned home happily. With this huge sum of money, all debts can be paid off. However, after experiencing the two things of treasure appraisal and stone gambling, he tasted the sweetness and also had a new goal. Yes, he planned to quit his previous job which paid 3,000 yuan a month and start over. Use these eyes that can create miracles to open up a blue sky of your own. Hey, isn't this Su Chen? I thought you had fled for fear of the crime. As soon as I entered the door, a harsh voice came from the sofa. Su Chen turned his head and saw his parents kneeling on the ground humbly, as if begging for something. And on the sofa sat a middle-aged couple. The person who spoke just now was the woman, her name was Huang Lame, and she was Su Chen's aunt. The middle-aged man next to her who dared not say a word was Su Chen's uncle, Su Qianxi. The atmosphere was obviously not very good. It's good that you're back. Give me an answer. Although our family has some assets, they didn't come from nowhere. You borrowed 100,000 yuan from us. When will you pay it back? Chapter 8: A New Awakening. Su Chen understood as soon as he heard it. It turned out that he was here to collect debts. But he felt a little unhappy. If they wanted to collect the debt, they should do it. But why should they make his parents kneel on the ground? According to seniority, Father Su Qianan is Su Qianxi's biological brother. How can it be reasonable for an elder brother to kneel down in front of his younger brother and sister-in-law? Before he could say anything, Wang Lame said, Su Chen, I'm not your aunt saying anything to you. How dare you get married when you're in such a mess? You're borrowing money everywhere to buy a house, and even the betrothal gift is borrowed. It's really pathetic for you to live like this. If I had a son like you, I'd just kill myself. Su Qianan sighed. He had endured it for so long, and he said resolutely, I borrowed the money, so let me pay it back. I will sell my organs now, my heart, liver, spleen, lungs, kidneys, and corneas. I will pay back all the money I owe, not a penny less. At this point, the Su family is completely desperate. Wang Lame snorted coldly, don't just talk, take action. I don't care whether you sell your organs or buy your butt, and whether you live or die has nothing to do with me. Anyway, I want to see the money today. This is the reality. It doesn't matter even if it means killing my brother's family. There is no family affection at all. Aunt, how much money did my father borrow from your family? Give me the exact amount, including the principal and interest, and I will pay it back to you now. Finally, Su Chen spoke. At this point, he also saw clearly the nature of this world. What is reality? Even if you commit murder, arson, and robbery, no one will look down on you. But if you are poor and have no money, even your relatives will look down on you. Su Qianxi hurriedly said, Xiao Chen, forget about the interest. It's a total of 100,000 yuan. I know your family is in trouble, so I can pay back half of it first. Su Chen waved his hand, no. It can't be counted. It's how much it should be, I know it clearly at once. Su Chen, did I hear you right? You come to pay it back. Do you have money? Wang Lame obviously didn't believe it and looked him up and down with contempt on her face. Everyone in the family knows that Su Chen is just an employee at a courier station and has no money at all. Su Chen had a blank expression on his face. Don't worry about this. I will give you all the money, but from now on our two families will completely sever their relationship. I will not recognize you as my uncle or aunt, and you should not recognize me as your nephew. Har har, do you think I care about poor relatives like you? It's better to cut off relations. Stop talking nonsense and pay back the money. Wang Lame was not afraid of a falling out. Anyway, she didn't think Su Chen could make a comeback, so it would be better to cut off ties as soon as possible. Su Chen didn't say much, then took out his mobile phone and transferred some money to Su Qianxi's account. Ding dong. The message alert sounded. Su Qianxi was stunned for a moment. There was actually money in his account. He quickly took out his phone to check the information. His face changed in shock. 200,000 in my account. 100,000 more. How come, there is so much money? He couldn't quite believe it. Wang Lame was also very surprised. They were obviously already poor and had trouble getting food, so where did the 200,000 yuan come from? It's only 200,000. Is it a lot? Su Chen did not hide it and told the story of his lucky find. He also showed the deposit in his bank card. Even if he transferred 200,000, there was still 7.8 million left. Not only that, he also told everyone that he had opened a piece of top-quality ice-type gold, and that he would earn another 15 million tomorrow. Such a huge number directly shocked several people at the scene. 8 million plus 15 million. What concept? An ordinary family like theirs could never earn that much in a lifetime. Xiao Chen, what Auntie said just now was a bit too much. You know, Auntie always speaks without thinking and speaks directly. You must not take it to heart. Wang Lame's expression suddenly changed, and when she looked at Su Chen again, it was as if she was looking at her ancestor. Of course I have to curry favor with such a rich relative. This change in attitude made Su Qianxi, who was standing by, feel a little embarrassed. His expression changed as fast as turning pages of a book. Su Chen had already seen through the true colors of his uncle's family, and said coldly, I gave you an extra 100,000 as a thank you for your willingness to lend me the money. But I have made it very clear, please don't come to my house again in the future, get out. He is very determined. When I was down and out, you guys pushed me like a drowned dog. Now that I'm rich, you guys want to get close to me and take advantage of me. Do you really think I'm a fool? It's better not to have relatives like this. Xiao Chen, look at what you said. Now that you have money, you don't even recognize your uncle and aunt, right? We are all family. I'll say this one last time, get out. Huang Lame wanted to continue speaking, but was scared back by Su Chen's scolding. Su Chensi knew he was too embarrassed to stay any longer, so he quickly pulled Huang Lame away in shame. I feel so regretful in my heart. If they had known that Su Chen had such good luck, they would not have chosen to turn against him. Chenner, what you just said, is it true? You didn't do anything shameful, did you? After Su Chensi and Huang Lame left, Mother Yi Yuqin hurriedly spoke to confirm. Even if they are really desperate, the Su family will never do anything bad. Su Chen said, Mom, don't worry, this money came from a clean source. Also, call Uncle Zhang and Uncle Li over, and I will pay back all the money you owe me. Yi Yuqin almost cried. The gloom that had been bothering her for days was finally dispelled, and she quickly called all her creditors. Not long after, people came to their house one after another and all the debts were settled. Night. The whole family gathered together for dinner. Yi Yuqin was happy today and cooked a table full of dishes. Mom and Dad, thank you for your hard work for me during this period of time. Su Chen was grateful for his parents' kindness and raised his glass to drink it all. In just 1 month, my parents have become more haggard and have more wrinkles on their faces. Su Chen secretly swore in his heart that from now on, he would make sure his parents lived a good life. This meal took 2 hours. The family had a great time chatting together, and the laughter and joy of the past returned. It was not until after 11 o'clock in the evening that Su Chen returned to his room to rest. He lay on the bed, familiarizing himself with the ability of his X-ray eyes, looking at the furniture and appliances. Anyway, no matter what you look at, corresponding information will be displayed next to it. Not only can you see through the object, but you can also see its function, purpose, material, etc. Looking at his body again, he could even see his internal organs, the blood flowing in his body, and even his meridians clearly. It turns out that there is a blockage in the meridians in my knees. No wonder I always have leg pain. As he was watching, he suddenly realized that he had some minor problems with his legs and feet. He had previously thought it was rheumatism, so he subconsciously reached out and rubbed them. It was at this moment that a faint green light suddenly burst out from the palm of his hand and penetrated into his knee little by little. With his X-ray eyes turned on, he could clearly see that the green light was actually unblocking the blocked meridians little by little. Fuck! How could this happen? He suddenly remembered that when the Song family's men beat up his parents yesterday, they also accidentally released 2 green lights into the bodies of the 2 elders. Now thinking back, the 2 elders were beaten like that but were not hurt at all. Could it be that they were healed by this green light? Although it sounds outrageous, Su Chen knows it must be true. In other words, in addition to the ability to see through things, he also gained another special ability. An ability that can revitalize life and repair damage to the human body. From a certain perspective, this ability can also be considered a kind of medical skill. Chapter 9 Clothes Make the Man. The next morning, Su Chen first went to the express station to quit his job, and then took a taxi to the address given by Gao Shahan. As soon as he arrived at the place, he was stunned. Isn't he this the Qiangshan group? Seeing Su Chen coming, several security guards at the gate greeted him respectfully as if they had seen a god. Brother Su Chen, you are here again, come in quickly. Brother Su Chen, are you thirsty? I'll pour you a cup of tea. Are you hungry? We have free snacks in the waiting room. I'll get you some. Su Chen was a little uncomfortable. When he came to apply for the job yesterday, he was treated as a troublemaker by these people and was kicked out. Why did he treat him like an ancestor when he saw him now? He took out the note written by Gao Shahan and said, I came here to withdraw money. The girl who wrote this note asked me to. I know. We have already arranged everything for Brother Su Chen. Please come with us. Before he could finish his words, several security guards enthusiastically led the way for him. Su Chen was secretly delighted. He didn't expect it to be so smooth and he could actually get money. The formalities were completed quickly and 15 million was deposited effortlessly. I am now a multi-millionaire. When he went out again, Chen straightened his back even when he walked. Although these assets are not even enough for the upper class in China, for a worker like him, they are enough to ensure that he does not have to worry for the rest of his life. Brother Chen, how is it, did you get the money? At this moment, a beautiful figure appeared before my eyes. It's Gao Shahan. She was wearing a black halter dress today, which was quite formal, but it still couldn't hide her playful and cute temperament. It's you? Chen thought about it carefully. It was Gao Shahan who asked her to come. It was not surprising to see her here. I got the money. By the way, I have a question for you. What is your position in Qiangshan Group? Being able to directly transfer out 15 million in assets, this girl must be from a prominent family. Gao Shahan chuckled and said, as for me, I am the financial director, responsible for accounting. Of course, the funds can be transferred smoothly. And the ice tie piece yesterday was also bought in the name of Qiangshan Group. Don't you know that Qiangshan Group is planning to vigorously develop the jewelry industry? I see. I see. Chen suddenly realized. No wonder Gao Shahan appeared in the jewelry market and spent a high price to buy ice jade. At this time, Gao Shahan suddenly came over and asked in a low voice, Brother Chen, you didn't throw away the underwear I gave you yesterday, did you? Are you wearing it with you? When Chen mentioned this, his face immediately turned red, and he quickly said, I didn't throw it away, but I'm not a pervert, how could I carry it with me? I put it at home. Gao Shahan pouted, you can put it at home, but I want you to put it by the bed. Look at it and smell it before going to bed every day. My scent is still on it. Chen was speechless. How to answer this? It was the first time that a woman blushed at his teasing. Fortunately, he is a gentleman. If it were another man, he would have dragged Gao Shahan to their hotel long ago. Seeing that he didn't say anything, Gao Shahan chuckled, Brother Chen, I like your serious look, so cute. By the way, now that you have the capital, do you want to continue to make money? Continue to make money. Yes, I see that you are very good at gambling on stones, but the Song family is too small, so it's just a small event. If you really want to gamble on stones, you have to go to Buyuan Pavilion. Are you interested? Buyuan Pavilion. Hearing this place name again, Chen's eyes flashed. I also heard Boss Gao mention it when I found a bargain on an authentic work of barter Shan Ren. It seems to have become a landmark of China overseas, and everyone in the upper class of China overseas knows about it. He asked curiously, can you take me there? Gao Shahan nodded, of course, I just happened to be purchasing a batch of high-quality jade for the company, you can come with me to have some fun. Chen naturally would not miss the opportunity to make a fortune, so he readily agreed. Then he got into Gao Shahan's car and went to Buyuan Pavilion together. Soon, the car drove to a nearby shopping mall. Chen looked at the busy street outside the car and asked in confusion, is this the Buyuan Pavilion you mentioned? No, I just want to buy you a set of decent clothes. Come on, get out of the car. Buy me clothes. Then, Gao Shahan took Chen to an international brand suit store. This is a VIP system, and ordinary people don't even have the qualifications to come in. Gao Shahan walked in with Chen in a swagger as if she was going back to her own home. When the staff along their way saw her, they all bent down at the same time. At the end of the corridor, there were already several stylists waiting for a long time. Mr. Su, this way please. Chen was confused and whispered to Gao Shahan, aren't you buying clothes? What are you doing? Gao Shahan chuckled, Brother Chen, this is the specialty of this store. You can buy clothes and they will also come with the styling. Just follow his arrangements. Buying clothes with styling. It sounds very advanced. Chen sat on the chair nervously, and then the modeling staff came over to work. Some people were measuring with tape measures, some were getting haircuts, and some were comparing shoe sizes. At this time, Chen noticed a badge on the barber's clothes. He had seen it on TV before. It was an international badge that only internationally renowned stylists were worthy of. Hey! Master! Excuse me. How much does a haircut and blow dry cost? He swallowed and looked a little timid. The stylist subconsciously looked at Gao Shahan behind him, and after receiving instructions, he said, "Mr. Su, don't worry, it's not much money." Soon, the look was ready and he put on a new suit and leather shoes. Su Chen stood in front of the mirror and looked at himself. It was true that clothes make the man. He was handsome to begin with, and after dressing up like this, he looked even more energetic. "Brother Su Chen, you are so handsome." Gao Shahan was also quite satisfied. She took the initiative to step forward and hold Su Chen's arm, looking like a little bird, and said with a smile, "Now we are even more compatible." After that, he took out his bank card to pay the bill. The waitress was obviously startled and was hesitant to take the card, but Gao Shahan secretly winked at her, and she swallowed and took the card to pay the bill. Su Chen secretly turned on his X-ray vision and took a look at the card machine from a distance. There was a full 60,000 yuan. He couldn't help but be secretly surprised that Gao Shahan actually gave him a set of clothes worth 60,000 yuan. How generous! It seems that this little girl is not just about the finances of Qianxin Group. After coming out of the mall, we are officially on the road. After about an hour's drive, the car finally arrived at a manor in the suburbs. "Brother Su Chen, we're here." Gao Shahan unbuckled her seat belt and got out of the car first. Su Chen took a look outside and couldn't help but exclaimed, "Wow! This place is too big and too luxurious." Chapter 10. Want another round? Buyuan Pavilion. It is known as the concentration camp for the rich in China. On their way, Gao Shahan told Su Chen some things about Buyuan Pavilion. The most famous place here is of course the auction house, which brings together all the big names from all over the world, as well as all the rare treasures of Daxia. As long as you have money, you can buy what you like here. In addition, there are many entertainment venues for the rich to enjoy. From golf courses, football fields, basketball courts, tennis, billiards to KTV, bars, chess and card competitions, everything is available. Especially in the past few days, an unprecedentedly large raw stone festival event was held, with tens of thousands of raw stones airlifted in from abroad for guests to gamble on stones and have fun. In the elevator, Gao Shahan introduced the raw stone festival activities with great interest. The elevator was narrow and the two people were very close to each other. A faint fragrance went into Su Chen's nose, which smelled very good. It was exactly the same scent as the underwear Gao Shahan gave him yesterday. Thinking of this, Su Chen couldn't help but blush again. "Brother Su Chen, what's wrong with you?" Gao Shahan noticed his expression and then chuckled, "Oh, I see. Am I too close to you and making you shy?" As she spoke, she deliberately straightened her body and let her bust gently rub against Su Chen's arm. The soft touch made Su Chen tremble all over and he almost reacted. So tempting. He couldn't help swallowing and really wanted to find an opportunity to deal with this vixen-like woman. "Brother Su Chen, how are you? Are you still nervous?" she asked playfully. Su Chen was teased and felt hot all over. "Damn it, how can I not be nervous? No man can stand it." After exiting the elevator, you will see an extremely luxurious lobby, so magnificent that it feels like you have entered a palace. He had only taken 2 steps when Long Xiaoqian, who had been waiting for a long time, came over. Small. As soon as he said a word, he received a look from Gao Shahan and immediately changed his words, "Miss Gao, you are here." When he looked at Su Chen next to him, his eyes lit up. Clothes really make the man. "Little brother, you look so handsome today. I thought you were a male model." Su Chen felt a little embarrassed by the compliment and said hurriedly, "Master Long, nice to meet you again. I haven't had time to thank you properly for what happened yesterday. It's just a small thing." Long Xiaoqian waved his hand. At this time, Gao Shahan said, "Mr. Long, this is my boyfriend's first time at Buyuan Pavilion, you have to take care of him." "Boyfriend?" Su Chen pursed his lips. "This girl is really bold." Long Xiaoqian laughed loudly and said, "I will naturally take good care of Miss Gao's boyfriend. You two, please follow me into the venue." Having said that, he walked in front to lead the way. "Why is Lord Long here too? Also, you seem to be very familiar with him." After what happened yesterday, Su Chen also knew that Long Xiaoqian's status was extraordinary. Such a person actually calls Gao Shahan Miss Gao, which shows that this girl's identity is definitely not simple. Gao Shahan stuck out her tongue and said in a quirky way, "Who in the whole Zhonghai doesn't know Mr. Long? Besides, he is the manager of Buyuan Pavilion, responsible for the dispatch of all the security personnel here, and I am a frequent visitor here, so it is normal for him to know me, right? A perfect explanation. Su Chen couldn't find any fault with it, so he could only be fooled into accepting it. Admission soon. At this time, most people who came to participate in the Raw Stone Festival have arrived. The scene was extremely lively. You're talking about gambling on stones, why don't you see any stones? Su Chen looked around and saw that there were indeed a lot of people, but there was not a single stone. Gao Shahan smiled and said, Brother Su Chen, don't be impatient. It hasn't started yet. You will know soon. As they were chatting, Long Xiaoqian suddenly snorted coldly, pointed to a place not far away and said, Little brother, I'm afraid you're going to get sick again. Here come two disgusting people. Looking in the direction of his finger, Su Chen's face, which was originally smiling, suddenly became gloomy. It's really disgusting. It turned out to be Song Zijian and Lu Xiaomai. It's really haunting. Hey, look who this is, what a coincidence. Similarly, Lu Xiaomai also saw Su Chen and said sarcastically, he has really turned over a new leaf. He can even enter such a high-end place. Song Zijian was still brooding over what happened yesterday and was thinking about settling the score with Su Chen. He said coldly, Xiaomai, that's not the case. The people who can enter here, besides the rich or the noble, there is another type, and that's the cleaners. These words made Lu Xiaomai giggle out loud. Mr. Song, you are amazing. You speak very well. Long Xiaoqian felt a little unhappy and spoke. Song Zijian then noticed the person standing next to Su Chen. He took a closer look and was immediately so frightened that cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Long. Lord Long, you are here too. What the hell is going on? This kid Su Chen actually fell in love with a big shot like Long Xiaoqian. How is that possible? If the first time was luck, can the second time also be luck? Song Zijian was shocked and indescribably surprised. You have to know that Long Xiaoqian is the king of Zhonghai's underground world. He is a person who can make Zhonghai tremble with just a stomp of his feet, while Su Chen is just an inferior person. The gap between their identities and status is as huge as heaven and earth. How did these two people become friends? Of course I have to watch here, otherwise, some people might take the opportunity to embarrass brother Su Chen. Long Xiaoqian pointed out this deliberately. After these words were spoken, Song Zijian was even more shocked. Lord Long actually called Su Chen his brother. Mr. Song, the show is about to start. Why don't you go to the observation deck and wait here? I've already told you that I'm going to select a batch of top quality jadeite for you. Don't waste time. Just when I was at a loss, an old voice was heard. Immediately afterwards, an old man in tang suit walked over leisurely. Gao Shahan narrowed her beautiful eyes and whispered, Brother Su Chen, this man is the general manager of the Song family's jewelry business. His name is Ji Buchang. He is known for never making mistakes when gambling on stones. He has cut more than 2,000 stones in his life, and every one of them turned out green. He has never failed. He is a legendary figure in the Zhonghai gambling stone industry. What's your name? Ji Buchang. Su Chen didn't listen at all, but just paid attention to the name. He almost laughed out loud, then I have to take a good look at it to see how long it is. He has his own ideas, and he must resolve the hatred between him, Song Zijian and Lu Xiaomai himself, rather than relying on the power of others. Since we meet here, let us take revenge for yesterday. Mr. Song, from what you said, you are here to gamble on stones too. His face was serious, and he said, you lost to me yesterday, so you must be very upset. I can give you another chance. Do you want to play again? Song Zijian defaulted on his debt in yesterday's game, so today is a good time to settle the accounts. Chapter 11 I'll fight you. Boy, did I hear you right? Do you dare to challenge me? Song Zijian almost laughed out loud. In his opinion, Su Chen's discovery of an ice-type jadeite yesterday was purely luck. Besides, he came with his master today, how could he lose? This kid is walking into the muzzle of a gun. Facing Su Chen's somewhat suicidal behavior, Gao Shahan hurriedly reminded him in a low voice, Brother Su Chen, don't be impulsive. Ji Buchang is a difficult person. Don't worry, I know my limits. Su Chen looked confident, then looked at Song Zijian coldly, why, you don't dare. Har, I don't dare. I'm afraid you don't have the capital to lose. Song Zijian couldn't help but show his joy. Even if Long Xiaoqian was here today, he couldn't protect Su Chen. This kid was looking for death. He immediately smiled and said, "How do you want to play? Just tell me." Su Chen said, "It's the same as yesterday. Whoever opens the one with the highest value wins. But this time we're going to play it a little bigger. Each of us will open 5. Song Zijian sneered, "Okay, then what about the stakes? The stakes are even simpler. You've always wanted to kill me, so I'll fight you to the death. If you win, I'll chop off my head and give it to you." Su Chen looked relaxed and pointed to his head, as if he had no fear at all about risking his life. His words scared both Gao Shahan and Long Xiaoqian. Their bet was so outrageous that they couldn't even understand it. Who would risk their life just by talking? Crazy. It's just crazy. Such a fierce momentum made Song Zijian a little timid. "Boy, are you going to play such a big game?" Su Chen smiled indifferently. "Is this what you call big? I still think it's small. If you lose, let's settle all the old and new grudges together. You brought people to smash my house, injured me and my parents, and lost to me in the market but refused to admit it. Add them all together, it's a good deal for you, and let you pay off the debt with your own hands. Boy, you want both of my hands." Song Zijian narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect Su Chen to be so brave. "I would like to ask, who in Zhonghai dares to propose such conditions to him?" Su Chen's face was full of seriousness. "Yes, if you lose, I will chop off your hand. How about it, do you dare to play with me?" As soon as the words fell, a loud laugh was heard. "Har ha har ha, what an arrogant boy. I have been in the Zhonghai gambling stone industry for half my life, and I have never met such an arrogant boy." It was Ji Buchang. To dare to speak such nonsense in front of this legendary figure in the gambling stone world is simply courting death. "Mr. Song, after all, the Song family is a well-known family in Zhonghai. We can't let a brat ride on our heads and shit on us. Don't worry, with the master here, you have no reason to lose." With these words, Song Zijian suddenly gained confidence and said with a smug smile, "Boy, then you should be ready to have your head chopped off." After saying that, he turned and walked towards the observation deck. At this time, Gao Shahan said with some concern, "Brother Su Chen, you are a little impulsive. The Song family has a large share of the Zhonghai jewelry industry because they have Ji Buchang as their helper. Not only does he have an extraordinary vision and many years of experience in stone research and stone cutting, but he also has first-hand channels for purchasing raw stones. It can be said that Ji Buchang's attainments in jadeite raw stones can be called master level. It is really unwise to compete with such a person rashly." Long Xiaoqian then said, "Miss Gao, don't worry. I am here. Even if little brother Su Chen loses, I can guarantee that the Song family will not dare to do anything to him." Su Chen curled his lips. It turned out that these two people didn't think he would win, and said helplessly, "Mr. Long, Miss Gao, you don't need to worry, forget it, I don't know how to explain it to you, anyway, just wait and see the show." He didn't take Ji Buchang seriously at all. Boom! Suddenly, the ground shook slightly. Soon after, the curtains around the venue fell, and Su Chen finally understood. No wonder he didn't see the raw stone. It turned out that this venue was an extra-large glass house, and the real raw stone site was underneath. There are observation towers around the venue, with professional observation cameras that can clearly see the situation in the venue below. Looking down, the glass house is suspended above a venue as big as a football, and countless raw stones are densely placed below. "Brother Su Chen, let me introduce him to you." Gao Shahan pointed down and explained, "The rough stone field of Buyuan Pavilion is fully mechanized. The field is divided into 3 fields, 123, with stones in each field marked with numbers. If you like a stone, you only need to enter the number on the instrument in the observation tower, and a mechanical arm will automatically grab the rough stone." Su Chen was secretly surprised. It really is the concentration camp of the rich in Zhonghai. Even gambling on stones is so high-tech. Gao Shahan paused and continued, "There is one more thing. Every stone here has been selected by experts from Buyuan Pavilion and is divided into 3 levels. The stones from the level 1 site are considered by experts to be most likely to produce top-quality green, so the price is relatively expensive. Level 3 is the site with the worst quality and the cheapest price." As they were talking, the mechanical arm of Song Zijian and Ji Buchang's observation tower had already started to operate, selecting among the level 1 venues. Before long, 5 raw materials had been selected, all priced at millions, filling 2 large baskets. Seeing that Su Chen hadn't started to choose yet, Ji Buchang couldn't help but snorted coldly. Boy, why don't you start yet? Are you afraid? I warn you, even if you want to quit now, it's too late. Song Zijin couldn't help but laugh at him. Boy, you're doomed this time. Let me tell you something in secret. The 5 best rough stones in the level 1 area have already been picked out by my master. You don't stand a chance of winning. Faced with the provocation, Su Chen did not take it seriously and had no intention of choosing the stone. After looking around, he shook his head and laughed secretly. Har har, experts, it's bullshit. At a casual glance, you can see thousands of raw stones in the level 1 area, but they are all glittering on the outside but rotten on the inside. They seem to be of good quality, but in fact they are not valuable. If he were to open one, it would definitely be the best quality. Ms. Gao, there's nothing here that I want. I'll go check out the other 2 venues. After saying that, he exited the lookout and headed towards the level 2 area. Gao Shahan and Long Xiaoqian were both stunned and confused. You don't like the stones from the highest grade field, so you go to a field of lower quality to choose. What is this? Su Chen, you know you're going to lose, so you want to run, right? Just after leaving the observation tower, Lu Xiaomei's disgusting voice came from the side. Su Chen just wanted to ask something, so he said, don't worry, even if I want to run away, Master Song's power won't allow me to escape. By the way, Lu Xiaomei, I have a question for you, who exactly is Shen Miao? Yes, he really wanted to know about Shen Miao. Chapter 12, Imperial Green. Lu Xiaomei looked disdainful and said, why should I tell you? Okay, I know you only care about money. As long as you tell me the previous betrothal gifts and the diamond rings and gold jewelry I bought for you, I will not pursue them at all, and I will give you an extra sum of money. How about that? When it comes to gold diggers, there is nothing that money can't solve. Sure enough, when Lu Xiaomei heard this, she immediately became interested. Su Chen, it seems that you have really made a fortune. If I had known this, I would have cancelled the engagement 2 days later. Okay, I can tell you, but the price is very high. Su Chen felt disgusted. This gold digger was the perfect interpretation of the words, don't be a bitch. He hated his past self for falling in love with such a woman, without even touching her hand, and spending all his money for her, only to end up with endless pain. Okay, let's talk about it after I finish competing with Master Song. He still agreed. After all, if you want to know Shen Miao's information, you can only go through Lu Xiaomei. Now, the 5 rough stones of Song Zijian and Ji Buchang have been carried to the stone-cutting platform by the staff. Many people gathered around, wanting to see what kind of top-notch items the legendary Master Ji could produce. Wait a minute, the stone I picked can't be cut, it can only be polished, so be careful. Just as the cutting machine was about to cut the stone, Ji Buchang hurriedly stopped the staff. These words made the crowd watching very excited. As expected, anything Master Ji does must be a masterpiece. The staff nodded, and to be on the safe side, he simply changed to a pair of more precise glasses before starting the operation. As the grinding wheel rotated, a green light flashed as soon as a cut was made. Look, there's really green. Oh my god, you are worthy of being Master Ji, so amazing. Amazing. It's really amazing. The green light appeared just by scratching the skin a little, which shows how high the shipment rate is. It might be a complete product. Everyone held their breath and stared at the grinder. Soon, the entire raw stone was polished. The scene immediately became lively. Oh my god, it's really a complete piece. This should be a piece of glazed turquoise, it's too big. Such a large piece must be worth at least 3 million. The bets have gone up, they have really gone up. Facing the surprise of the crowd, Ji Buchang didn't take it seriously. He just thought that everyone was making a fuss about nothing and said calmly, this is nothing. The best part is yet to come. Next, the second piece. It also turned green, and it is also in good condition. The third, fourth, and fifth pieces are also top quality goods. Following the first piece of glazed pine, there are black jade, mutton-fat jade, Hachin jade, and a piece of Huanglong jade. Especially Huanglong jade, which has excellent water content and smooth color, it can be said to be the best of the best. All 5 were hit, not a single piece was wasted. After some determination, the staff estimated the price and the total value was about 36 million. Bang bang bang. There was thunderous applause at the scene. The crowd applauded excitedly, as if they had watched a blockbuster movie of the century, and they all exclaimed that he was indeed Master Ji Buchang, extraordinary. To be honest, this is just the limit of Buyuan Pavilion, but not my limit. The 5 best roar stones in the entire level 1 roar stone field are all here. If there are better ones, I can still choose them. Jibo was always very arrogant and had no modesty. After saying that, he looked at Su Chen, who was busy at the level 3 venue observation tower, and couldn't help but sneered, "Mr. Song, look over there, that guy is selecting the venue of the worst grade." Song Zijin turned around to take a look and also laughed, "Har har har, it seems this kid doesn't understand anything at all. Isn't it obvious that he is looking for death?" As expected, the ice-type piece selected yesterday was pure luck. Everyone who comes to Buyuan Pavilion knows that the raw stones in the level 3 area are of the worst quality. It can be said that most of them are waste materials, and the prices are very cheap. If you choose from them, the chance of getting green is equal to 0. Go, call everyone outside in to prevent Long Xiaoqian from protecting that kid. He whispered an order to the Song family's men nearby. Victory is certain, but in order to chop off Su Chen's head, they also need to find a way to restrain Long Xiaoqian. Ji Buchang snorted coldly and said, "Song Xiao, don't worry, I am not a pushover either. It is true that Long Xiaoqian has the final say in Zhonghai, but outside of Zhonghai, the Black Tiger Society no longer controls the world. Ji Buchang also has his own power. If he is forced into a corner and orders all his subordinates to gather in Zhonghai, I am afraid that Long Xiaoqian will not be able to withstand it. In the current situation, Long Xiaoqian is a smart man and naturally knows how to weigh the pros and cons." As they were talking, Su Chen had already picked out 5 rough stones. However, when the staff placed the raw stone on the stone cutting table, a burst of laughter suddenly broke out at the scene. "This kid seems to be an amateur. He's more than an amateur, he knows nothing. It's okay for him to go to the level 3 site to select materials, but look at what garbage he selected. Anyone who knows a little bit can see that these 5 are completely waste. With this level, you dare to compete with Master Ji Buchang, what a fool." No one is optimistic about Su Chen. Even Long Xiaoqian and Jiao Shahan were on edge, totally unable to understand what Su Chen was trying to do. "Miss, are you sure that brother Su Chen is qualified to be the general manager of the group's jewelry business?" After working hard for so many days, they finally found Su Chen, but Long Xiaoqian became a little suspicious. Jiao Shahan's beautiful eyes were filled with solemnity as she said, "He was able to pick out a top-quality ice stone from a pile of raw stones. It's definitely not just luck. I believe he must be the person I'm looking for." Having said that, she was still unsure and was secretly sweating. At this moment, on the stone-cutting platform, the staff who were cutting the stones couldn't help but roll their eyes when they saw the 5 huge stones in front of them. "Is it necessary to cut this? It's complete garbage." Helpless, I had no choice but to pick one up casually and start cutting. But at this moment, Su Chen quickly raised his hand to stop him. "You can't cut it. The stone I chose can only be polished." As soon as these words were spoken, there was a burst of laughter at the scene. "They are clearly 5 pieces of junk, yet you still want to pretend to be cool. Polishing 5 such large stones would be extremely tiring for the workers. Okay, you have the final say." The staff was reluctant and then changed the grinder and started operating. However, in just a few seconds, a shocking scene appeared. Swish! A dazzling green light flashed out. It stings the eyes and is as green as grass. Many people saw it and talked about it. "What happened just now? That light. I saw it, too. It was very green and dazzling, as if it had bloomed from the stone." The staff member also shuddered, straightened his expression and continued polishing. In just a moment, a huge jade stone appeared before everyone. "R. This is Imperial Green. It's an Imperial Green. Oh my god. This waterhead, this color, this completeness, this is a top-quality Imperial Green." Chapter 13 Su Chen's bold words. "That piece of jade is as big as a small hill, and it is also an extremely precious piece of top-grade Imperial Green. You know, any kind of jade will pale in comparison to the top-grade Imperial Green. This one alone is worth more than the 5 that Ji Buchang had opened before combined. At this moment, the outcome has been decided. This is just the worst one, keep going." However, just as everyone was shocked, Su Chen's words made the entire scene fall silent in an instant. You can hear a pin drop. Everyone's eyes widened, their faces filled with disbelief. Is there anything of higher quality than imperial green? How is that possible? Following that, the other furore stones were also polished one by one. When all the stones were neatly placed on the display stand, everyone finally understood what Chen meant by what he had just said. All are imperial green. 5 in total. And each one is bigger and better in quality than the other. Their value has reached an immeasurable level. Everyone was shocked, some even turned pale, their whole bodies went limp, and they almost went into shock. Impossible. Impossible. How could this be possible? Ji Buchang's eyes were also filled with fear, and his whole body was shaking. He couldn't believe that he had been in the gambling stone field for decades and had never found a piece of imperial green, but Chen found 5 top-grade stones at once. This is not realistic at all. Moreover, the raw materials are selected from the lowest quality places. Master Ji Buchang, you lose. Chen smiled faintly. To outsiders, he had accomplished a miracle in the gambling stone world of Dacia. However, for him, this little thing was just a piece of cake. As he said that, he slowly walked over and stared at Song Zijian with cold eyes. Mr. Song, according to the agreement, you should leave a pair of hands behind. All their hatred can finally be settled. Hearing this, Long Xiaoqian immediately winked at one of his men next to him, and that man immediately took out a knife. Song Zijian was so angry that he gnashed his teeth, still unable to believe it in his heart. How could someone in this world be so lucky as to produce 5 top-grade imperial green stones at the same time? He was unwilling to give in. Boy, you want to touch me? Don't you know my identity? What do you mean, you want to cheat again? Chen's face also turned gloomy. You denied your debt yesterday, and now you dare to deny it again today. Mr. Song, you must admit defeat. I personally witnessed the stakes you made with brother Chen. If you dare not admit it, the Black Tiger Society will definitely pursue the matter. Long Xiaoqian's expression also turned a little ugly. In Zhonghai, no one dares to disobey the Black Tiger Society, not even the Song family. Song Zijian swallowed, a cold sweat running down his forehead, and he had no choice but to look to his master beside him for help. Ji Buchang took a step forward and said proudly, Lord Long, you are so impressive. It is true that my disciple lost to this brat, but it was just a verbal agreement without a signature or seal. Such an agreement is not valid at the legal level. Also, if we are serious, I'm not afraid of the Zhonghai Black Tiger Society. Arrogant. Extremely arrogant. The implication is obvious, the bet doesn't count. If Long Xiaoqian dares to step forward, Ji Buchang will never give up. Har har, good, good. It seems that Long Xiaoqian, have rarely been involved in martial arts in recent years. Some people have forgotten my methods. Long Xiaoqian was angry. In Zhonghai, the person who can threaten him has not been born yet. Ji Buchang's eyes narrowed, knowing that Long Xiaoqian was a fierce tiger, and that a head-on confrontation would definitely not bring him any benefit, so he took Song Zijian's hand and prepared to leave, leaving a message, Master Long, I'll give you a favor today. If you want to compete, I'll be there for you anytime in the future. Having said this, he was about to escape. Asshole. In front of me, Long Xiaoqian, no one can just say a few harsh words and walk away. Long Xiaoqian scolded angrily. Soon after, several security guards rushed in from all sides of the venue and surrounded Ji Buchang and Song Zijian. Ji Buchang laughed loudly, confident and fearless, Lord Long, are you planning to do it here? Aren't you afraid of being blamed by the Buyuan Pavilion Master? After all, this is Buyuan Pavilion, not the Black Tiger Society's territory. However, Long Xiaoqian would not care about these. He wanted to keep a person and would not give him face even if the King of Heaven came. Seeing the atmosphere drop to freezing point, Chen knew that he couldn't go on any longer. He gritted his teeth and said, Master Long, this matter is all caused by me. Let me solve it myself. Ji Buchang was right. After all, this was Buyuan Pavilion, not the Black Tiger Society. Besides, he didn't want to rely on Long Xiaoqian's forces. He must avenge this grudge personally. Mr. Song, Ji Buchang, you two must remember what happened today. Also, listen carefully. I, Chen, swear here that within 3 months, I will make the Song family disappear from Zhonghai. Wow! As soon as these words were spoken, there was a burst of exclamations at the scene. Such bold words are really exciting to hear. A green-headed boy actually dared to threaten to make the Song family disappear. Is this arrogance? No. If there had not been the shock of opening 5 imperial green diamonds, everyone would have thought that such remarks were completely overestimating one's own abilities. But after the shock, they vaguely felt that perhaps this young man could really do it. Su Chen, just wait for me. Song Zijian had never suffered such humiliation before. His eyes turned red and he left in disgrace with Ji Buchang. The seeds of hatred have been planted. When the two left, cheers suddenly broke out at the scene. Bang bang bang. The applause was as loud as thunder. Su Chen bravely fought against Master Ji and opened 5 imperial green gems. Such a sensational scene was no less than a blockbuster movie of the century. Brother Su Chen, you are so awesome. Gao Shahan finally let go of the worry in her heart. She was so excited that she couldn't help but walk forward and hug Su Chen tightly. Su Chen was embarrassed. Miss Gao, there are so many people. So what if there are a lot of people? You're my boyfriend, can't I hug you? Forehead. Su Chen was speechless. Long Xiaoqian was also extremely shocked and asked in confusion, Brother Su Chen, I'd like to ask you a question. How do you determine whether the stone can produce imperial green? The probability of getting 1 is as high as winning the lottery, but getting 5 at the same time, can it be pure luck? Su Chen shrugged, I can see it. It is the truth, but who can believe it? Long Xiaoqian laughed and said, forget it, I won't ask. It seems that Brother Su Chen has his own unique vision. A storm is over. Su Chen wanted to get more familiar with the function of his eyes, so he returned to the observation deck to continue looking at the raw stones below, and picked up a few more pieces. Miss, congratulations. It seems that after days of searching, you have finally found it. Long Xiaoqian said to Gao Shahan, it's just that, miss, when are you going to tell Brother Su Chen about your identity? In fact, Gao Shahan is not the financial officer of Qiangshan Group. Her real identity is the only daughter of Gao family of Qiangshan Group and the person who is about to inherit Qiangshan Group. I can say now that I intend to formally invite Su Chen to serve as the general manager of the jewelry industry of Qiangshan Group. Gao Shahan looked at Su Chen, who was concentrating on selecting raw stones on the observation deck, and said resolutely. Chapter 14 I really know medical skills. Qiangshan Group is about to be renewed and Gao Shahan is about to take over. She puts forward a bold idea, that is, there has always been a gap in Zhonghai's jewelry industry. Today's several large jewelry families are like a pile of loose sand, with only the Song family dominating. Gao Shahan wanted to lead the group into the jewelry industry and become the number 1 in Dacia's jewelry industry as the first thing he wanted to do after taking over. But before that, she must find a leader who can lead the group to expand its territory. The reason why he had been going back and forth between various major markets to gamble on stones and have fun in recent days was to find someone, and now he had finally found someone, and that person was Su Chen. Hey, Chenna, come back soon, something happened at home. Just when Gao Shahan was about to go over and have a frank talk with Su Chen suddenly received a call from his mother. He asked anxiously, Mom, calm down, what happened? Yi Yuqin said in panic, it seems that robbers broke into their house and smashed everything. Come back soon. What? Is there such a thing? Okay, I'll come back immediately. You and Dad should not stay at home. Go hide in the community property management. The incident happened suddenly, and fearing that the robbers would come back, Su Chen arranged for the two to go out and take shelter temporarily. Then he said to Gao Shahan who was walking over, Miss Gao, that's enough for today. I have something urgent to do and need to rush home. You take the 5 imperial greens back. I'll come back to you when I'm free. After saying that, he left in a hurry without waiting for Gao Shahan to speak. Long Xiaoqian came over and said, Miss, what happened to Brother Su Chen? Gao Shahan was also confused, I don't know, it seems like something happened at home. I had originally thought about stating my identity and extending an invitation, but in the end I failed to say it. Xinyuan community. As soon as Su Chen returned home, he saw the house was in a mess. The destruction was so horrible that it was now like a ruin. The shoe cabinet, entrance cabinet, coffee table, sofa, and TV were all smashed to pieces. How big a grudge is this? Who did it? Su Chen clenched his fists, feeling extremely angry. Song Zijian? Probably not, there is a time conflict. When the incident happened, Song Zijian was still gambling on stones with him. But who else could it be besides Mr. Song? Just then, Su Qian and Yi Yuqin came back. Seeing the house ruined like this, the two elders couldn't help crying. Mom and Dad, are you okay? It's okay. We just happened to go out today and deliver some of the remaining unpaid money to someone, so we just avoided it. Su Chen breathed a sigh of relief, as long as his parents were okay. He will investigate this matter thoroughly. If he finds out who did it, he will never let them off easily. I'll find someone to clean up the house. Let's go out for dinner first. The house was smashed beyond recognition, so we had to hire a professional cleaning company to clean it up. Afterwards, Su Chen called the contact person to come and clean the house, and then took Yi Yuqin and Su Qian out to eat in a restaurant. After the meal, the cleaning company called and said that the cleanup would be difficult and would take time. So Su Chen asked his parents not to rush home, but to take a walk in the square to eat something to kill the food in their stomachs. Su Qian and Yi Yuqin didn't want to worry their son, so they forced themselves to smile and went into the square to dance. Young people would not participate in such activities, and Su Chen was the same. He could only wander around the square bored, waiting for the call from the cleaning company that the cleaning was completed. Doctor. Is there a doctor here? My grandfather is having a heart attack. While I was taking a walk, I suddenly heard an anxious voice calling out. Su Chen turned his head and saw a group of people gathered around the garden, with an old man lying in the middle. He was obviously sick and was twitching all over. Next to the old man was a young girl, and she was the one who was shouting just now. Little girl, don't worry. Did you bring your heart medicine? Someone next to me asked. The little girl cried anxiously, I just wanted to take a walk, I didn't expect to get sick, and I didn't bring any medicine. An ambulance has been called, but a heart attack can take a life in a matter of moments, so I'm afraid it's too late. When Su Chen heard the sound, he also came forward to take a look. When his X-ray eyes were turned on, he locked onto the old man's heart. Indeed, a blood vessel was spasming, and several surrounding blood vessels were severely congested. Obviously this is the cause. Su Chen didn't know any medicine, but since he had seen the cause of the disease, he had an idea in his mind. If the blockage was not cleared, the old man would soon die of shock due to ischemia of the heart. Grandpa. Grandpa, how are you? Don't scare me. At this moment, the old man's convulsions became more and more violent, and white foam came out of his mouth, causing the little girl to scream in panic. Su Chen couldn't bear to see such a scene of separation of life and death. He thought to himself, I wonder if that will work. He suddenly remembered that he could release healing green light. He had used this ability to cure his knee pain and his parents' injuries before. If used on this old man, can it alleviate the symptoms? No matter what, there is still hope if he takes action. If he doesn't take action, this old man will only die. Let us just give it a try, there is no need to worry about anything else. Thinking of this, he leaned down and pressed his right hand on the old man's chest. As he concentrated his mind, he suddenly felt a burning sensation in his eyes, followed by an airflow that flowed downwards along his eyes, gradually gathered in the palm of his hand, and slowly entered the old man's heart bit by bit. A faint green light flowed through the old man's blood vessels, gradually clearing the blocked areas. It really works. Su Chen saw this and couldn't help but be overjoyed. The first time I put it into practice, I actually cured my heart disease. Ordinary people cannot see this green light, so it did not attract the attention of people around. They thought that someone who knew first aid came and was checking the old man. Yanga. What's wrong with me? As his symptoms improved, the old man woke up from his coma. The little girl was so excited that she hugged the old man and cried, Grandpa, you woke up, that's great. You were sick just now and it was this little brother who saved you. The old man turned around and wanted to stand up to thank him, but was stopped by Su Chen. Old sir, you have just recovered from a serious illness, so you should not move too much. Sit down and have a good rest first, and then stand up after you have recovered. The old man said, Young man, may I ask what your name is? I, Xiao Pengshan, will definitely repay you for your kindness. Xiao Pengshan. When they heard the name, the people around them immediately went wild. Oh my god. This old man is actually Xiao Pengshan from Zhonghai Yunmeng Group. Why would the CEO of the second-ranked company in Zhonghai come to a village in the city like ours? This young man is going to be very successful. He saved Xiao Pengshan's life. He will enjoy endless wealth and glory in the future. There were voices of discussion one after another. Su Chen heard everything and just smiled and said, "Old sir, this is not a big favor. It was just the simplest CPR. You are lucky enough to recover. It has nothing to do with me. There is no need to repay me. I have something else to do. I will leave first." He didn't want others to know that he could release green light to cure diseases. After saying that, he turned around and left. When he left, all the onlookers were stunned, with a look of surprise on their faces. Really gone? No benefits at all. You have to know that this is the president of Yunmeng Group, with a net worth of hundreds of billions. If you ask for a few million, it will be enough to live a worry-free life for the rest of your life. Why doesn't you want it? In this world, there are still people who are so indifferent to fame and fortune. I really admire them. Xiao Pengshan was extremely impressed by the young man who saved his life. He immediately turned to Xiao Yanger and said, "Yanger, you must catch up with him and find out his name." Chapter 15 Miraculous Dr. Lu Ming. Su Chen had just returned to the square when a female voice called out from behind, "Great benefactor, wait a minute." Looking back, it was Xiao Pengshan's granddaughter, Xiao Yanger. "What's wrong?" Su Chen asked. Only then did he notice Xiao Yanger's appearance. She was pure and lovely, like a lotus flower. She was also a peerless beauty. Xiao Yanger said, "Little brother, my grandfather said that he must give a large sum of money as a thank you." "What's your name?" "No need to thank me, it's just something I did for you. If you must ask my name, just call me Comrade Lei Feng." After saying this, he turned around and left without waiting for Xiao Yanger to speak again. Comrade Lei Feng. Xiao Yanger murmured to herself, looking at Su Chen's receding back, and she couldn't help but feel a little admiration for this young man who did good deeds without leaving a name. Now, Su Chen was walking towards the center of the square, preparing to call his parents home. "I was still thinking about what had just happened and was secretly happy. With this ability, anyone in my family who had any illness or pain could treat themselves in the future." At this moment, a dark shadow flashed out and patted him on the shoulder. "Little brother, may I ask what method you used just now to restore the vitality of the human body?" Su Chen was startled and turned his head quickly, and saw a tall, handsome middle-aged man with a mustache looking at him with a smile. "Who are you?" "I don't know you," he answered subconsciously. The middle-aged man smiled and said, "My name is Lu Ming, and this is my business card." Su Chen's face was full of confusion. He subconsciously took it and took a look, and his expression suddenly changed. It turned out to be the director of Zhonghai First Hospital, Lu Ming, a genius doctor known as the master of traditional Chinese medicine. This man is amazing. He is an authority in today's medical field. He is well known not only in Zhonghai, but also in the whole Daxia. Lu Ming happened to pass by just now, but he was a step late. When he wanted to treat him, Su Chen had already finished the treatment and left. He took Xiao Pengshan's pulse and found that Xiao Pengshan's stubborn disease had been cured, so he followed him and wanted to ask him about it. "What human vitality? I don't know what you are talking about." Facing Lu Ming's hawk-like gaze, Su Chen looked a little timid. He stammered a few words and prepared to leave. However, Lu Ming ignored Su Chen's muttering and took a step forward to check his pulse. After just a dozen seconds, his brows suddenly knitted together and he said in surprise, "What a miraculous pulse. Could this be the legendary pulse of a celestial being?" With just one move, he noticed that Su Chen's pulse frequency was different from that of ordinary people. This seemed to be the heavenly pulse recorded in ancient books. What is the Qianren meridian? That is the pulse of a chosen person who is one in a million and only appears once in 100 years. There have been many such people in history, such as Qin Shi Huang, the greatest emperor of all time, or Zhu Yuanzhang, who became an emperor after begging for food. They are all born with a natural talent for heaven. Those who have this pulse are destined to be extraordinary in the future. Lu Ming's eyes sparkled, and he smiled and said, "Little brother, I think you are very talented and a good candidate for studying medicine. Why don't you become my disciple and learn medicine from me?" Su Chen quickly pulled his hand back, feeling a little unhappy that he hurt him right away. He couldn't help but curse, "Only a fool would want to learn medicine from you. I don't have time, so please don't follow me." After saying that, he left angrily. Lu Ming was not angry either, and said from behind, "Little brother, you and I are destined to be master and apprentice. Besides, you will not suffer any loss if you become my apprentice." "Sorry, that's not possible." Su Chen threw the business card on the ground and walked away without looking back. To be honest, he was a little scared. He was almost seen through on their first meeting, which made his scalp tingle. Until you fully understand something, it's better to keep your distance. Seeing Su Chen's back as he resolutely left, Lu Ming couldn't help but laugh. You know, there were so many wealthy people in Zhonghai who wanted to become his disciples, but he never paid any attention to them. In his life, he only accepted one nominal disciple, and that was not a formal apprentice. Now that he took the initiative to ask for a disciple, he was rejected. This was quite interesting. Hey, Long Xiaoqian, investigate someone for me right now. Then he made a phone call. On the other end, Long Xiaoqian was extremely respectful and said, Master, if you tell me, as long as they are from Zhonghai, I will be able to find them for you. Su Chen picked up his parents and returned to Xinyuan community. The cleaning lady just called and said it has been cleaned up. Dad, Mom, go upstairs first. I'm going to buy some snacks. As soon as he got downstairs, several furtive figures behind the flower bed attracted Su Chen's attention. With his X-ray eyes, he saw that there were 8 people hiding, and it was obvious that they had no good intentions. He sent his parents away and then walked towards that direction. Boss, that kid is coming this way. It seems that we have been discovered. You've come just in time. Grab your weapons and go. Then, 8 figures rushed out, each holding a machete, and surrounded Su Chen. Su Chenhuan took a look and immediately recognized several of them. They were the Song family's men. How shameless. He refused to admit his loss in the bet and instead did this kind of tricks behind the scenes. Your young master is such a coward. He doesn't even dare to come here himself, but always lets you guys rush in front. He scoffed. The leader sneered, Boy, you were lucky before because you had Long Xiaoqian backing you up, but now you are alone, get ready to die. If you dare to offend the Song family, you will die. Su Chen looked indifferent and said, Okay, then you can all come together. I didn't fight enough in the market before, I just avenged a broken nose, but I haven't avenged my parents who were beaten by this group of people yet. As soon as he finished speaking, the 8 men raised their machetes and rushed forward with roars. However, at this critical moment, let's see who dares to do it. You guys don't want to live anymore, do you? You dare to cause trouble in our Black Tiger Society's territory. Anyone who dares to touch Su Chen's hair will become an enemy of the 3,000 brothers of the Black Tiger Society. Da. The sound of chaotic footsteps rang out. Immediately afterwards, a group of members from the Black Tiger Society rushed over aggressively. The 8 people of the Song family were obviously no match for the overwhelming force and they quickly dropped the knives in their hands in fear. He cursed in his heart, damn it, why is it the Black Tiger Society again? Could it be that this kid Su Chen is Long Xiaoqian's illegitimate son? As for why Black Tiger would protect him like this? Lord Long, why are you here? Su Chen immediately saw Long Xiaoqian, who was hurrying towards this side among the crowd. As soon as Long Xiaoqian saw Su Chen, he immediately breathed a sigh of relief, as if he had seen a savior. Plop. He bent his knees, knelt on the ground, and said, Brother Su Chen, you must help me this time. The sudden scene made the 8 men of the Song family dumbfounded. Long Xiaoqian, the boss of the Black Tiger Society and the leading figure of the Zhonghai Grey Forces, actually knelt before Su Chen. What the hell is going on? Not to mention them, even Su Chen himself was confused, and hurriedly helped Long Xiaoqian up. Master Long, what are you doing? Don't shorten my life. Hurry up and get up, I can't bear it. Just tell me if you have anything else to do. Chapter 16 Late Night Visitors. Long Xiaoqian refused to stand up and said solemnly, Brother Su Chen, let me ask you, did you meet the miraculous Dr. Lu Ming just now? Su Chen was stunned. Yeah, what's wrong? To be honest, he is my master, and he is the one who asked me to come to you. Brother Su Chen, my master is known as the master of Chinese medicine, a famous doctor in the world. Countless people in the world want to be his disciples, but he refused. Now he wants to take you as his disciple, please don't refuse. Long Xiaoqian was very sincere. Su Chen then understood what was going on. He couldn't help but be a little surprised. He didn't expect that Long Xiaoqian was actually the apprentice of the genius Dr. Lu Ming. What a coincidence. Master Long, please stand up. I cannot accept such a great gift. How about this, after I have dealt with these people, I will slowly tell you about this matter. He made a concession for the time being and helped Long Xiaoqian up. Then he turned around and stared coldly at the 8 men of the Song family, scolding, I have a question for you. If you answer truthfully, I can consider not using heavy hands on you. The 8 men had already been frightened by the Black Tiger Society's aura, so they dared not resist and only nodded tremblingly. Chen asked, "Did your Song family come to my house to cause trouble this afternoon?" The 8 people looked at each other and shook their heads. The leading man said, "Chen, we just received an order to come and avenge you for bullying my young master in Withdrew Pavilion this afternoon. We have never been here before." Chen frowned. It seemed that the people who broke into their house and smashed things were not from the Song family. "Well, in that case, I would like to trouble all the big brothers of the Black Tiger Society to teach them a lesson for me and then let them go. Brother Chen has spoken, so we will naturally do as he says. Brothers, beat him up. Damn it, I've been displeased with you Song family members for a long time. You keep looking for trouble with Brother Chen. You're simply courting death. Beat. Boom. 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 The members of the Black Tiger Society rushed forward and started punching and kicking. He pinned the 8 men of the Song family to the ground and beat them violently. R. We know we were wrong. Stop fighting. R. Spare me. Spare me. The screams echoed in the darkness. Now. In the pavilion of the community. Long Xiaoqian and Chen sat on the stone bench. "Master Long, I have only met Divine Dr. Lu once, why did he insist on taking me as his apprentice?" "Little brother Chen, just be content. My master doesn't accept disciples easily. In fact, the genius Dr. Lu Ming never accepted any disciples in his life, and Long Xiaoqian was just a nominal disciple. Because Long Xiaoqian had a chronic illness since childhood, he had to be cured by Lu Ming. Lu Ming and Long Xiaoqian's father were close friends, so his father came forward and persuaded Lu Ming to accept Long Xiaoqian as his apprentice. Out of consideration for their relationship, Lu Ming accepted him, but he was only a nominal disciple, not an official disciple. From this we can see that being able to become the apprentice of the genius Dr. Lu Ming is something that countless people dream of. Little brother Chen, just listen to me and agree to it. It will only benefit you. Moreover, I promise you that as long as you become my junior brother, we will be a family. From now on, the Black Tiger Society's power in the old city will be handed over to you to manage, and you will be the head of this area. Becoming a disciple of the miracle doctor and becoming the leader of the Black Tiger Society, such tempting conditions are impossible for anyone to refuse." Chen didn't pursue these, scratched his head and said, "Lord Long, how about this, you give me a day to think about it." Long Xiaoqian didn't want to force him, so he said, "Okay, then I'll wait for your reply." After seeing off the people from the Black Tiger Society, Chen returned home. The house has been cleaned up, but the broken furniture and appliances need to be bought again. He didn't have time to care about these things now. He went back to his room, lay on the bed, and stared at the ceiling in a daze. Should I agree to it or not? Extremely conflicted. To be honest, he was a little moved. After all, Lu Ming is a well-known figure in the medical field, and he also owns the Black Tiger Society, which is also the largest grey organization in Zhonghai. If he becomes the leader of the society, at least no one in this area will dare to bully their family in the future, and most importantly, he can protect his family. But if I agree to it, will there be restrictions on what I can do in the future? Just as I was thinking about it, the doorbell rang. It sounded like a guest had arrived, and then Yi Yuqin shouted outside, "Chenna, your girlfriend is here to see you." "Girlfriend?" Chen sat up from the bed in shock. Could it be that Gao Shahan came looking for me? I hurriedly opened the door and saw Yi Yuqin and Chen laughing outside, and the girl standing next to them was indeed Gao Shahan. "Chenna, just have a good chat with your girlfriend. Your dad and I will go back to their house." Yi Yuqin was also an experienced person, so she quickly pulled Chen back to the room. It seems that the two elders are quite satisfied with Gao Shahan. Chen was puzzled. "Miss Gao, how do you know I live here?" "Mr. Long told me that I missed you, so I came to see you." "Why, brother Chen, don't you miss me at all?" Gao Shahan chuckled, but she was in no hurry to reveal her identity or the invitation to the position. Regardless of whether Chen agreed or not, she walked into the bedroom and closed the door. "Huh? Isn't this the woman next to Song Zijin?" She suddenly noticed the wedding photo on the wall. It was of Chen and Lu Xiaomai. After seeing the festive decorations in the room and combining it with the previous conversation between Su Chen and Lu Xiaomai, he roughly guessed it. It's just some past events that are hard to recall. Su Chen poured a cup of tea while telling about the entanglement between him and Lu Xiaomai. Gao Shahan was furious when she heard this. Her face wrinkled into a ball. She cursed, I didn't expect there would be such a shameless woman in this world. Brother Su Chen, it's a good thing she broke off the engagement. Otherwise, if you had gotten involved with such a gold digger, your life would really be over. It's a blessing in disguise. Su Chen looked bitter and said nothing. Gao Shahan sat in Su Chen's arms, put her arms around his neck, and said seductively, I should thank her for not taking you away. Brother Su Chen, where did you put the token of love I gave you? A faint fragrance entered his nose, which made Su Chen's heart flutter. He couldn't help swallowing and said, it's in the cabinet. Didn't I tell you to put it by your bed and take it out and smell it before going to bed every day? Gao Shahan said as she got closer and closer, her flaming red lips almost touching Su Chen's ear, and whispered, I have something newer, do you want to see it? I can let you see enough. Charming. Flirtatious. With just a few words, Su Chen's soul was hooked away. If you don't cherish such a good opportunity, you are not a real man. Su Chen made up his mind, turned over and pressed Gao Shahan down on the bed. Kindness. Gao Shahan uttered a coquettish sound, but did not resist. Her straight and slender legs clamped around Su Chen's body, and her hands held him tighter. She continued to tease him, Brother Su Chen, do you think I'm beautiful? Chapter 17, We Can All Play Mahjong. Su Chen looked at the foxy woman under him, his throat went dry and his whole body became hot, beautiful. Gao Shahan gently waved his hair with her fingers and asked, do you like me? Ding dong. Just when the mood was aroused, the sudden ringing of the doorbell broke the ambiguous atmosphere. Damn it. Who are you? What are you doing here so late? You're ruining my business. Su Chen smacked his lips and almost took off his pants, but was interrupted at the last moment. Then, Yi Yuqin's voice came from the living room, Chenner, come out quickly. Su Chen didn't dare to delay, nor did he bother to do serious business with Gao Shahan, and hurried out to check. Upon seeing this, his face suddenly became gloomy. It was actually Shen Miao. Mom, go back to your room. I'll talk to her. He sent Yi Yuqin away. I feel a little unhappy. Because of this woman's instigation, he couldn't even have his wedding. Of course, a big part of the reason for this is that Lu Xiaomai is a gold digger, and she just used this as an excuse to break off the engagement and take the opportunity to claim compensation. What are you doing here? Su Chen stared coldly at Shen Miao. Shen Miao's face was full of grievance, as if she had something to hide. She stammered, Su Chen, I'm desperate and have nowhere to go, can you take me in? Har har, what nonsense are you talking about? Su Chen found it funny. She is indeed Lu Xiaomai's best friend, birds of a feather, all shameless. You've hurt me like this, and you still want me to take you in? What the hell are you dreaming about? Shen Miao pursed her lips, tears streaming down her cheeks. I lost my virginity to you, and I am no longer of any value to the Shen family. They are planning to judge me, and I know very well what the consequences will be, so I climbed out the window and ran away at night. Su Chen, for the sake of our one-night stand, please have mercy on me. The once arrogant woman has now become like a quail. Su Chen was puzzled. He didn't know what this woman had been through. He also became more curious about her identity. He asked solemnly, tell me the truth. Who are you? He had always wondered whether the reason he had acquired the ability of perspective for no reason was related to sleeping with Shen Miao. If that is true, then Shen Miao is definitely not an ordinary person. Ding dong. However, before Shen Miao could explain, the doorbell rang again. Damn. Why is it so lively tonight? Su Chen felt it was a little unbelievable, as there were never so many guests at home, so he said to Shen Miao, go hide behind the sofa, I'll see who's here first. Shen Miao pursed her lips, said, oh, and did as she was told, hiding behind the sofa. Su Chen then opened the door and couldn't help but look surprised, Boss Gao. Why are you here? It turned out to be Gao Chiqiang. The person who spent 8 million to buy the authentic work of Barter Shanren was also Su Chen's benefactor. Little brother, we meet again. Gao Chiqiang was still the same, looking kind. Su Chen did not dare to neglect him and immediately said, Boss Gao, please come in. I will make you some tea right away. No, I came to see you for something important. I'll leave right after I finish talking. Gao Chichiang waved his hand, not intending to enter the house, and said, from what I understand, it seems that the young man just lost his job. Su Chen scratched his head awkwardly. Yes, I used to be a courier, I only made a few thousand yuan a month, I was really tired of it. Yes, it's just a few thousand yuan. How can it be worthy of your ability? Gao, never make mistakes in judging people. I firmly believe that you will achieve extraordinary success in the future, so I dare to recommend you a position. What do you think? Gao Chichian spoke bluntly. Su Chen was a little surprised. He knew that the old man's identity was definitely not simple, so he said, Boss Gao, you are thoughtful. May I ask what position you are in? Gao Chichian smiled faintly, the general manager of the jewelry industry project of Qiangshan Group. The chief executive of Qiangshan Group. Isn't that the executive of the largest group in China Ocean Shipping? Oh my god. Who is this old man to be able to get such a position? Boss Gao, I have a question. How much does this position earn per month? A few thousand. Har har har, you're such a jokester, little brother. Well, let me tell you, the annual salary is 50 million, plus various benefits. Of course, the year-end bonus is extra. If you must ask for a number, conservatively speaking, it's no problem to make hundreds of millions a year. Fuck. Hundreds of millions. Su Chen's eyes almost popped out. He never burned so much money when he visited the grave. Little brother, I know you are a noble person who is not tempted by money. How about this? You don't need to rush to give me an answer. In 3 days, Qiangshan Group will hold a grand ceremony. If you are interested, come and watch the ceremony. I will introduce you to someone then. Gao Chichiang didn't want to force Su Chen, so he decided to give him a few days to think about it. After saying that, he turned and left. Su Chen was still immersed in the shock of his annual salary of over 100 million yuan, and he did not come back to his senses for a long time. When he reacted, Gao Chichiang had already left. You're walking so fast, what are you considering? I'll definitely agree. Forget it, everyone has left. We'll talk more about this when we watch the ceremony in a few days. He had previously thought about applying for the position of pipeline maintenance worker at Qiangshan Group, but was kicked out by security guards. Now I can actually get in and become a senior executive, this is like pie in the sky. Just as I was feeling smug, as I turned around, the doorbell rang again. People kept coming to look for me. Su Chen found it so funny that they could even play mahjong together. Who is coming this time? Dr. Lu, it's you? When the door opened, Su Chen was surprised again. It turned out to be the miracle Dr. Lu Ming. Little brother, I think Long Xiaoqian has explained everything about me to you, right? Lu Ming stood with his hands behind his back, looking like a hermit. Su Chen nodded, Master Long has explained everything to me. Dr. Lu, please give me one night to think about this matter. Don't worry, I'll give you time to think about it. Just as Su Chen was halfway through his words, Lu Ming raised his hand and interrupted him, saying first, to be honest, I came to you not to accept you as my disciple, but to ask you for help with something else. Anything else? Yes, I would like to ask you to help me treat a patient. Me? Lu Ming's words stunned Su Chen. A great Chinese medicine expert actually asked him to treat the disease. This is too exaggerated. Little brother, if this disease is to be cured, it must be you. Lu Ming's face was very serious and he was not joking at all. Su Chen also knew that the situation was urgent, so he nodded and agreed, okay, I'll go with you, let me change my clothes. Okay, I'll wait for you downstairs. Then, Lu Ming went downstairs and waited in the car. Su Chen hurriedly found Shen Miao, took out 3,000 yuan, and said, take this money, go to their hotel and get a room, I will talk to you after I finish the things I have on hand. After saying that, without waiting for Shen Miao's reply, he pushed the person out directly. After finishing one, I returned to the bedroom. At this moment, Gao Shahan had taken off all her clothes, supported her head with one hand, and lay on the bed in an extremely seductive posture, waiting for Su Chen to come back. Miss Gao, I'm sorry, I have to go out for something urgent. Su Chen felt a little guilty and didn't dare to look at Gao Shahan directly. He picked up his coat and ran away. Gao Shahan pouted in anger and complained, how annoying. I've already taken the initiative, you stinky man, you don't even know how to cherish me. How much golden time does a person have in his life? However, the more this happened, the more interested she became in this man. She rolled her eyes, smiled playfully, took out her phone and took a photo of her proud body, and sent it to Chen, with the caption, "Brother Chen, it looks like you won't be able to get me tonight. To ease my longing, I'm sending you a photo. Remember to think of me." Chapter 18 Healing. Chen hurried downstairs and received a message on his mobile phone. When he opened it, he saw beautiful photos sent by Gao Shahan. In the photo, Gao Shahan is obviously not wearing any clothes, but the most critical part is covered by the pillow, making it vaguely visible and very tempting. The more this kind of perfect feeling of wanting to see but not being able to see it is, the more fascinating it is. Little vixen. Chen swallowed and his throat became dry. This photo was actually taken on his bed. If the genius Dr. Lu Ming hadn't been in a hurry to save people, he would not have missed such a good opportunity. What a shame! What a shame! I feel somewhat unwilling, but there is still a long time to come and there will always be opportunities. After an hour's drive, the car stopped at a private estate in the suburbs of the northern city. Little brother, after you go in, don't look around, don't walk around, and don't talk nonsense. Lu Ming reminded very seriously. Chen was a little confused. He was just seeing a doctor, so why was he so cautious? However, as soon as he entered the villa, he immediately understood. At the main gate alone, there are 8 burly bodyguards guarding it, which is quite strict. If you want to come in, you have to be searched first. In the glass display case in the living room, there are many military medals, trophies, medals and other objects that symbolize glory. It can be seen that the owner of this house must be a big shot in the military, with a very high status. Dr. Lu, you are finally back. Didn't you say you were going out to look for a good prescription? May I ask if you found it? As soon as I entered the door, a voice came from the second floor. Looking up, I saw a middle-aged man hurriedly walking down the corridor on the second floor. When Chen saw this man, his eyes lit up. This man had a strong face, was heroic and very energetic. Just from his appearance, one could tell that he must be of some status. Lu Ming bowed and said, "I have found him. He is the little brother I brought with me." What? The middle-aged man shifted his gaze to Chen and asked doubtfully, "Divine Dr. Lu, are you kidding me? Is this young man the cure?" Not to mention him, even Chen himself was confused. Lu Ming nodded and said, "Yes, the treatment has now reached the most critical step. Only by letting this little brother take action can we get a complete cure." The man smacked his lips and said, "Dr. Lu, this is a serious matter. I have never doubted your medical skills, but this young man is very young and doesn't have much experience. To put it bluntly, if something goes wrong during the treatment, no one can take the responsibility. Letting a young boy treat the disease, what kind of thing is this?" Cough, cough, cough. At this moment, a cough was heard from the bedroom on the second floor, followed by an old voice saying, "Minghui, since they are the people invited by Divine Dr. Lu, we should not neglect them, let them come up." The middle-aged man obviously respected the old man in the bedroom and dared not say anything more. Even though he was a little worried, he still obediently stepped aside. Afterwards, Lu Ming took Chen to the second floor. As soon as he entered the room, Chen saw an octogenarian sitting on the bed. He also had an extraordinary demeanor, but was obviously suffering from a serious illness and his face was rather pale. "Since you are the helper invited by Divine Dr. Lu, then little brother, thank you for your hard work." The old man was quite open-minded about the treatment and trusted Lu Ming enough, and he also expressed trust in Chen. Instead, Chen showed some timidity. He tugged at Lu Ming's sleeve and whispered, "Dr. Lu, how do you want me to help you?" Lu Ming smiled faintly, "It's very simple. I have already completed the initial treatment. As for the last step, I hope you can give Elder Xiong a glimmer of hope, just like you treated Xiao Pingshan's heart disease." Chen was secretly shocked. As expected, his secret had been seen through by Dr. Lu a long time ago. Well, just see through it. So he said, "Okay, leave it to me." With the previous experience of treating Xiao Pingshan, Chen was quite confident in the ability of his eyes. He concentrated his mind, turned on his X-ray eyes and carefully observed the old man's condition. When I saw it, I couldn't help but be surprised. This old man suffers from extremely serious liver disease. His entire liver is black, and it is obvious that he is in the late stage of liver cancer. Xingji is about to die, but he has managed to hold on until now. I guess Dr. Lu must have put a lot of thought into it. Mr. Xiong, this may be a little bit uncomfortable for you, please be patient. Su Chen smiled and asked for instructions. After hearing this, the old man smiled kindly and said, "Little brother, just come and tell me how to treat me. I can handle it." Afterwards, Su Chen lifted the old man's clothes, placed his palm lightly on his abdomen, and then used his eyes to mobilize the clear and spiritual energy. As the airflow gradually flowed downwards, passing through his arms and palms, it gradually penetrated into Mr. Xiong's ribs, entered his meridians, and flowed to his necrotic liver. Within just a few minutes, the liver cells began to rejuvenate and gradually showed a glimmer of life. It's done. Lu Ming grabbed Mr. Xiong's hand and felt his pulse. His originally weak pulse had regained some vitality. As long as there is vitality, healing is not difficult. Without wasting any time, Lu Ming turned over his palm, pinched a few silver needles between his fingers, and inserted them into several acupuncture points on Mr. Xiong's body one after another. Su Chen still had his X-ray vision on at this moment, and he discovered that as acupuncture was inserted into the acupoints, Mr. Xiong's originally stagnant qi and blood suddenly became unblocked. Comfortable. Old man Xiong let out a long sigh, and his pale face became a little rosy and he looked much more energetic. Su Chen couldn't help but sigh. He was indeed a miracle doctor, his acupuncture technique was so mysterious. However, the treatment was not over yet. Lu Ming kept flipping his palms, and 81 silver needles appeared one after another, which were then inserted into 81 acupuncture points on Mr. Xiong's body. Whether it's deep or shallow, or the different forces used to insert the needle, or the number of times of pinching and turning, every movement is full of details. Little brother, can you see what's going on? After finishing the acupuncture, Lu Ming wiped the sweat from his forehead, turned around and asked with a smile. Su Chen swallowed his saliva, suppressed the shock in his heart, and said, I don't claim to be a master, but I did see something unusual. These 81 silver needles may seem random, but they are actually extremely exquisite. The number of 99 is used, and the needles are inserted 9 times and arranged in 9 roots. Not only the strength, depth, and sequence are very particular. It can better help patients dredge their qi and blood and stimulate the body to recover faster. Lu Ming couldn't help but pause, his eyes full of surprise. After a long while, he said, Little brother, it seems that you are also very knowledgeable about medicine. Su Chen scratched his head awkwardly, not knowing what to say. He didn't do any research, he just stated the facts he saw. 10 minutes later, Lu Ming removed all 81 silver needles and said, Mr. Xiong, I will write you a prescription later. You just need to follow my prescription and take the medicine on time. You will be cured in less than half a year. The treatment ended successfully here. After Lu Ming finished speaking, he took Su Chen out of the room. Little brother, thanks to you. If you hadn't given Mr. Xiong a glimmer of life, I'm afraid the original treatment plan would have been extremely long. By the way, little brother, after this incident, has your opinion changed? Do you need to continue considering it? As soon as he walked out of the room, Lu Ming couldn't wait to ask. Su Chen naturally understood that Lu Ming was talking about accepting a disciple. Chapter 19 I am willing to become your disciple. The treatment process just now left Su Chen amazed. Especially Lu Ming's mysterious acupuncture technique was even more surprising. As he was speaking, Xiong Minghui came over anxiously and asked, Dr. Lu, how is my father doing? Don't worry, with Su Chen's help, your father's illness is no longer a problem. The treatment that originally took 6 years will now only take 6 months to heal. Lu Ming's words made Su Chen's heart tremble violently. In other words, even without his life force, Lu Ming would be able to cure advanced liver cancer, it would just take a long time. Such amazing medical skills really make him worthy of being the renowned Chinese medicine master in Daxia. Thank you, Dr. Lu. Thank you, little brother. I was blind just now, please don't take it to heart. Xiong Minghui was so excited that he almost knelt on the ground. Su Chen quickly helped him up. He didn't take what happened just now to heart at all and expressed his understanding. Afterwards, under the escort of Xiong Minghui, the two drove back to the city. At the entrance of Xinyuan community. Little brother, you're still not going to answer me. Before getting off the car, Lu Ming asked again. Su Chen paused, and asked the question that had troubled him for a long time, Divine Dr. Lu, forgive me for being so presumptuous, but why do I feel that you seem to be very anxious about accepting a disciple? But there are so many people who want to be your disciples, but you just don't want to accept anyone. Har ha har ha, good boy, you really dare to ask. Lu Ming laughed loudly and said, okay, I'll tell you the truth. My sect is very strict about accepting disciples. We don't accept people with bad conduct, dull talents, or mediocre looks. This is also the reason why there are fewer talents in my generation. But I have the heavy responsibility of inheriting the tradition. Once I meet the right person, I will not miss it. I see. Chen nodded. In fact, when he saw Lu Ming's mysterious acupuncture skills, he was deeply impressed. If he could learn some basic skills, it would be enough for him to gain a foothold in the medical field. Okay, I'm willing to become your disciple. Finally, he agreed. Lu Ming laughed heartily, and then said, great, great. I never thought that I, Lu, would finally get my wish and pass on the medical skills of my sect when I am nearly 50 years old. Master, please accept my disciple's greetings. Chen opened the door, got out of the car, and prepared to kneel down. However, Lu Ming immediately said, wait, don't be in a hurry to become my disciple. Why? No reason. When I, Lu Ming, accept a disciple, it must be done in a very grand and formal occasion, and it must be witnessed by many prominent figures in Daxia. You don't need to ask any more questions, just wait for me to arrange it. Chen pursed his lips. He didn't expect it to be so troublesome. Seeing that he was a little discouraged, Lu Ming said again, don't worry, since you have already joined my sect, I will naturally teach you some skills. Have a good rest tonight and come to the hospital to see me tomorrow afternoon. Hearing that he could learn some skills, Chen agreed with great excitement. Back home. My parents have gone to bed. Shen Miao had left long ago, and there was no sign of Gao Shahan in the bedroom, so it seemed that she had gone back as well. Chen took a shower and lay in bed for a long time, unable to fall asleep. I wonder what skill Dr. Lu is going to teach me. Is it acupuncture? If I can complete my studies, I can become a miracle doctor, saving lives and becoming famous all over the world. The more I thought about it, the more excited I became. I couldn't help but laugh out loud while hiding under the quilt. But suddenly, he felt something in his hand, and when he took it out, he saw that it was a pair of sexy black lace panties, obviously Gao Shahan's. At the same time, he found an unread text message on his phone. Brother Chen, I left something for you. It's a complete set with the one I gave you last time. It's something I've worn. If you miss me, you can express your longing for me to it, he he he. Chen couldn't help swallowing his saliva. This seductive little goblin was so charming to the core. It's late at night. Song family. What? Long Xiaoqian kneeled down to that kid. Song Zijian was so shocked that he stood up from the sofa. Is there such a thing? This news was undoubtedly a thunderclap that exploded in his mind. This is outrageous. The overlord of Zhonghai actually knelt down and kowtowed to a loser. Who would believe it if this were told to others? Mr. Song, if we hadn't seen it with our own eyes, it would be hard for us to believe it. Chen is no longer the same as he was before. Now he has the support of the Black Tiger Society. We can't do anything to him. The Song family's men had been beaten black and blue. This is all thanks to Chen, who showed mercy and asked the brothers from the Black Tiger Society not to kill them, otherwise they would all have died. Lu Xiaomai snuggled in Song Zijian's arms, looking unconvinced, and said, I don't know what kind of shit luck this guy has, he can actually get close to the Black Tiger Society. But he won't be so arrogant for long, he will fall sooner or later. Oh? What do you mean, little darling? Song Zijian's restless hand gently stroked her body. Lu Xiaomai said, I know him best. He is a loser who has to borrow money everywhere to get married. He has no ability at all. He might have been deceived by the Black Tiger Society. After a long time, they will naturally see clearly. So we don't have to be afraid that the Black Tiger Society will always support him. Song Zijian also thought it made sense and said with a smile, little darling, you are really smart. So in your opinion, what should we do? Lu Xiaomei's eyes flashed with coldness. We don't have to fight him head on. Doesn't he still have parents? If we can capture his parents and use them as threats, we can make him kneel down. He won't even have a chance to resist. Vicious. As the saying goes, women have the most vicious hearts, and this is perfectly demonstrated in Lu Xiaomai. What a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? Song Zijian's eyes narrowed, his expression gradually turned cold, and he ordered his men, send a few more people to arrest that kid's parents. Yes. The men obeyed the order and then retreated. Only Song Zijian and Lu Xiaomai were left in the living room. The two smiled at each other, as if they had seen Su Chen's death at this moment. The next morning. Brother Su Chen, did you see what I left for you? Su Chen was wandering around the antique street to see if he could find a bargain. He was going to learn skills from Lu Ming in the afternoon, so he had to give him a big gift. Just then Gao Shahan called. I see. You are really brave. He responded while shopping. Gao Shahan chuckled, this is exciting enough. By the way, Brother Su Chen, did you use my panties to sharpen your gun? Forehead. Su Chen was speechless. How to answer this? He, forget it, I won't tease you anymore. Actually, I came to you last night because I wanted to push you down, but I also had something else that was important. Unfortunately, you left in such a hurry that I didn't accomplish either of the two things. What's up? I think you are very talented in gambling on gemstones, a rare talent, so I would like to recommend you a position as the person in charge of the jewelry project of Jiangshan Group, with an annual salary of over 100 million. Gao Shahan's words made Su Chen stop unconsciously. How come it's exactly the same as what Boss Gao said? Chapter 20 begins to practice. Brother Su Chen, the succession ceremony for the new president of Jiangshan Group will be held in 2 days. If you are interested, you can come and have a look. I will introduce you to him then. Gao Shahan strongly invited him. Su Chen did not hesitate, okay, I will definitely come. He had originally agreed to go with Boss Gao, but he didn't expect Gao Shahan to say it again. Hang up the phone. Su Chen's attention was attracted by an antique stall nearby. There are several mahjong tiles placed on the stall. Yes, it's mahjong tiles. To ordinary people, things like this are just modern technology, so they cannot be valuable. However, Su Chen vaguely felt that something was unusual, because the mahjong tiles were carved very delicately and the shape was very unique, so he turned on his X-ray eyes to take a look. Item name, 5-color mother of pearl plaque. Material, ebony. Dynasty, used by Puyi of the Qing dynasty. Value assessment, incomplete quantity, medium value. It's really good stuff. Damn, Puyi's imperial mahjong tiles, what a pity. If we could get a complete set, the value would be at least 10 times higher. Su Chen muttered to himself. But it is an old item after all, so don't waste it. So he asked the stall owner, boss, how much is this? 100 yuan a pound. The stall owner was playing games and replied nonchalantly. Su Chen was stunned. My goodness. Puyi's imperial mahjong, a treasure from the Qing dynasty, was actually being sold at wholesale prices, by the pound. It seems that in this industry, the majority of people are those who don't know the value of things. I'm too lazy to weigh them. Here are 3. I'll give you $15. Whatever you want, take it if you want, and don't bother me while I play games. Just like that, Su Chen transferred 15 yuan and put the 3 mahjong tiles in his pocket. I was secretly delighted, thinking it would be difficult to find a bargain, but it turned out to be so easy. I should be able to exchange it for a few $1,000s, right? He continued walking forward while playing with mahjong tiles. At this moment, his eyes fell on an incense burner on the street stall in the corner. The incense burner is about 20 centimeters in diameter and has a common 3-legged structure. On the surface, it doesn't look special and the workmanship is very crude. Even an outsider can tell that it is not an antique at all, but a piece of scrap iron. However, ever since Su Chen had the ability to see through things, he had a very keen sense for old objects, so he opened his eyes and took a look. Item name, 3-legged incense burner. Material, copper-plated. Dynasty, modern technology. Evaluation value, a piece of scrap iron has low value. Sure enough, it is not worth the money. But as he continued to stare at the incense burner, his vision gradually penetrated and he actually saw what was inside the incense burner. At the same time, the information display has also been updated. There is a lot of hidden treasure inside, and it is of great value. There is something fishy going on here. He was secretly surprised, and when he looked carefully again, he was surprised to find that there was another layer inside the incense burner, which was completely another incense burner. Item name, Powder Furnace. Material, brass. Dynasty, made during the Ming dynasty. Evaluation, high value. Su Chen's heart was filled with waves. This incense burner was actually hollow, with a brass furnace wrapped inside. The gap between the two was filled with paraffin. The truly valuable part was the powder furnace from the Ming dynasty inside. What a lot of trouble it took to hide it so secretly. If he didn't have a pair of X-ray eyes, I'm afraid no one would discover the true value of this incense burner. When I looked up and saw the stall owner's mercenary look, I knew that this person was not as easy to deal with as the stall owner selling colorful mother of pearl tiles. I couldn't ask him directly, otherwise I would definitely be ripped off. Afterwards, Su Chen remained calm, pretending to be tired, and rested on the side, waiting for someone to pass by and ask the price, so as to kill the stall owner's energy. 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye. During the period, there were people who asked for the price, but the stall owner asked for 100,000 yuan, which made the person angry and left. It was already noon and it was extremely hot. The stall owner was about to close the stall and go eat, when Su Chen came over and asked, "Boss, how much is this per pound?" "What is this? How much is 1 pound?" The stall owner almost vomited blood when he heard this, and said impatiently, "Brother, you are buying cabbage here, by the pound, mine is an antique, it is the real thing." Su Chen curled his lips and said, "It's just a piece of scrap metal. I plan to melt it down and make a hoop for my dad to play with and reminisce about his childhood. Just name a price. How much is it?" The boss could only call himself unlucky when he met such a customer. Seeing that the sun was getting hotter and hotter, he was in a hurry to close the stall. He waved his hand and said, okay, you take 10,000 yuan. 200. Do you want it or not?" Su Chen was too lazy to talk nonsense. From 10,000 to 200, the stall owner was dumbfounded. "How can you bargain like that?" Seeing that he was hesitating, Su Chen didn't say much and turned around to leave. The stall owner was anxious and quickly shouted from behind, "Brother, at least 1,000 yuan." Su Chen turned around and said, $500, if you don't want to sell it, forget it. Okay, 500 is 500. It's my bad luck." The stall owner was helpless, but it was better than not opening the shop for the whole morning. At least he could make some sales now. Su Chen grinned, readily scanned the code for 500 yuan, then picked up the incense burner and ran away, fearing that the stall owner would regret it. Items from the Ming dynasty are worth at least 1,000,000 yuan, and I got them for only 500 yuan. It's a real bargain. I continued to walk around until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and finally finished my visit to the entire antique street. Along the way, I found that most of the things were fakes. There were not many real things. Occasionally there were one or two, but the prices were ridiculously high. I couldn't bargain for them, so it was better not to buy them. But at least I didn't waste my time and found a few mahjong tiles and a powder stove. It's time to go to the hospital. He planned to give the powder furnace to Lu Ming as a gift, at least he would not come empty-handed. Get to the hospital soon. However, the person who greeted Su Chen was actually Long Xiaoqian. "Brother Su, you are finally here. I have been waiting for you all morning." Now that they are considered fellow disciples, Long Xiaoqian even changed his way of addressing them. Su Chen was a little surprised and asked, "Master Long, why are you here? Where is Dr. Lu?" Long Xiaoqian smacked his lips and said, "Why call me Lord Long? From now on, we are brothers. You can call me Brother Long. The master has an important operation to perform, so he asked me to wait for you here. Come on, follow me to the lounge." Without waiting for Su Chen to speak again, Long Xiaoqian pulled him to the staff dormitory next to the hospital. "Master asked me to teach you some basic skills of the immortal doctor sect. This is good. With some self-defense skills, you can handle it on your own if young Master Song gives you trouble again in the future." After saying that, Long Xiaoqian took a horse stance with his fists clenched on both sides of his waist, a standard Hummer stance. The foundation of martial arts begins with the horse stance. Just watch carefully. The pile is built and is as solid as a rock. It seems simple, but there is actually a mystery inside. Su Chen secretly opened his eyes of perspective and observed, and saw a stream of air surging around Long Xiaoqian, rising from the center of the earth and enveloping his entire body. Coupled with the spiritual energy generated by the circulation of qi and blood inside his body, they complemented each other. This is a mysterious state where man and nature combine. Brother Su, do you know that the reason why I can sit firmly on the position of the overlord of the Zhonghai underground world is because of this uniqueness? This is called Qianren Zhuang, which is the entry foundation of Qi training in the immortal doctor sect. If you practice it well, you can concentrate your spirit and strength. Once you are proficient, you can exert strength beyond that of ordinary people. Chapter 21, A Martial Arts Monster. Heavenly Pillar. To achieve this means the unity of man and nature, which is an incomparably profound state. Chen was secretly shocked. It turned out that there were many strange people in this world. Brother Su, come and try it. Long Xiaoqian put away his stance and stepped aside. Chen nodded, and then followed Long Xiaoqian's example, taking a stance and standing in a very standard Hummer stance. Although the stance is already quite good, it is just an ordinary horse stance and is still far from the real Tianren stance. Well, the posture is very standard. Brother Su, your lower body skills are pretty good. Next, let's see when you can stand up and exert your qi power. This was all Long Xiaoqian could teach. After he finished speaking, he sat aside and played with his phone. Chen was stunned for a moment and asked, Brother Long, what do you mean by qi jin? Long Xiaoqian thought for a while, set his eyes on the desk, and then slapped it with his palm. Bang! The solid wood tabletop suddenly sank, revealing a palm print. Infinite power. Do you understand? He turned around and asked. Chen was filled with surprise. What would be the effect if such a strong palm force was hit on a person's head? So this is what is called qi jin. That's amazing, Brother Long. How long did it take you to practice qi power from standing still? About 3 years. It will take time for Qian Renshuan to stand out. From the initial standard posture, to being able to stand out with a sense of qi, and then to being able to control the qi so that you can breathe in and out and absorb it for your own use, this is the real Tianren posture. It took Long Xiaoqian 3 years just to learn the basics. Chen swallowed his saliva and said, Oh my god, 3 years, I will have to stand until I vomit blood. Long Xiaoqian smiled faintly, Brother Su, Master said that your pulse is extraordinary, definitely not ordinary. You will be able to gain some insights in less than 3 months. Don't worry, live here steadily, I will accompany you. Fuck, what do you mean, 3 months? And I have to live here? Can't I go out if I can't practice? Master's orders are hard to disobey, and I have no other choice. But don't worry, I'm here, and I'll never let you down with good food and drink. Let me teach you a set of mental formulas, and you can use them while standing still. When you understand them, you will be close to being able to feel the energy when you stand still. After that, Long Xiaoqian taught Chen a set of long and obscure text formulas. The so-called mantra of the mental method is a way of guiding qi and blood with the mind, which can increase the effectiveness of standing several times. This is all I can teach. From now on, it all depends on your personal understanding. Then Long Xiaoqian ignored Chen and fell asleep on the bench. Brother Long, are you really asleep? Chen was dumbfounded. Oh my god, am I being kidnapped? You are not allowed to leave if you can't learn it. He wanted to ask for more details, but at this moment Long Xiaoqian was already snoring. Forget it, I'll just figure it out on my own. Chen is indeed extraordinary and has his own unique method, which is to observe the candidates and have a photographic eye with clairvoyance. He recalled the scene of Long Xiaoqian standing in the stance just now, replaying it over and over in his mind like watching a movie. After observing for several times, he noticed that there were obvious changes in the circulation of qi and blood in Long Xiaoqian's body when he was standing in the stance. Could this be a breakthrough? Chen suddenly understood something. Now that we can see it, things become much simpler. Maybe I don't need to memorize those formulas. I can just follow the way Long Ji's blood and qi circulate and copy his instructions. Can I achieve the same effect? After figuring it out, I concentrated my mind and stood still, then started to look inward. As long as I could see the situation inside my body, controlling the circulation of qi and blood would not be difficult. At the same time, Xinyuan community. Bang! The door was kicked open fiercely. This scared Chen and Yi Yuqin, who were watching TV in the house. Immediately afterwards, 8 ferocious-looking men rushed in. Fuck you 2 old bastards, you still have the leisure to watch TV at home, take them away. The leading man snorted coldly and called on his men to take action. Then the crowd rushed forward, held down Chen and Yi Yuqin, and forcibly tied them up with ropes. Who are you? Breaking into a private house without permission. Be careful or I'll call the police. Su Qian has not yet recognized that these people are the Song family men who beat him before. Seeing him resist, the leading man became furious. Bang! He slapped him in the face. Call the police? I'll destroy you first. Bang! Another slap. Su Qian was beaten so hard that he foamed at the mouth and fell on the sofa, twitching. He was already in poor health, and had been running around to borrow money for Su Qian's marriage during this period. He was overworked and could not withstand such a severe beating. Old man! Old man! Oh! Yi Yuqin cried anxiously, turned around and yelled, "You have gone too far. When my son comes back, he will not let you go." Bang! It would have been fine if he hadn't said it, but once he did, the leading man flew into a rage, and he kicked Yi Yuqin, cursing, "Damn it, you dare to mention your son to me. It's because of him that we were beaten into pigs' heads." Because of Su Qian, they were beaten up by the Black Tiger Society. After returning, they were punished by Song Zijian for failing to do their job well, adding insult to injury. All this was caused by Su Qian. Fuck! Since I can't deal with your son, I'll deal with you guys. The leading man was furious and wanted to vent his anger on Su Qian's parents. Tie him up and beat him up, then take him away. Yes. At one command, the rest of the men followed suit. After forcibly tying up Su Qian and Yi Yuqin, they pushed them to the ground, and then kicked and stomped them violently in front of the mountain. While trampling, he also insulted the 18 generations of ancestors of the Su family. Now. Hospital. Time flies like an arrow, and it's gone in the blink of an eye. When Long Xiaoqian woke up from his sleep, it was already 9 o'clock in the evening. It's getting dark. Oh, you're still practicing, not bad. Seeing that Su Qian was still standing still, Long Xiaoqian nodded with satisfaction. If I continue like this, maybe I will be able to develop a sense of energy in 3 months. But then he noticed something was wrong. When Su Qian was standing still, there was a faint cyclone around his body. It is very faint and almost unnoticeable if you don't feel it carefully. But the presence of such a sign means that Su Qian is not far from the door to becoming a formal warrior. Brother Su, did you succeed? Long Xiaoqian couldn't believe it and hurried forward. How could such a thing happen in the world? It only takes half a day and you can feel the energy. Absolutely not. Brother Long, you're awake. I practiced according to your method and I did feel some subtle sensations in my body. Su Qian answered truthfully. After practicing for 2 hours, I could vaguely feel a heat wave rising from the center of the earth and surrounding my body. After 4 hours of practice, the heat wave could already be absorbed by his body along with the rhythm of his breathing. At this point, he has understood that Qianren Zhuang is actually a unique way of breathing, which continuously absorbs external energy and nourishes itself. Over time, this energy accumulates and forms a sense of qi, and this qi is the source of strength. It took Long Xiaoqian 3 years to realize this. What does that mean? This means that Su Qian reached the level that Long Xiaoqian took 3 years to reach in just half a day. Brother Su, you. After listening to Su Qian's story, Long Xiaoqian was stunned. Chapter 22. Anyone who hurts my parents will die. It's only been half a day, but he has already stood out with a sense of energy. How the hell is this possible? You know, Long Xiaoqian himself had been standing in a posture for 3 years before he could barely feel some energy. However, what Long Xiaoqian didn't know was that if he followed the rules and practiced standing still according to the mantra of the mental method, it would actually take 3 years. Su Qian was able to comprehend things in a short period of time, all relying on what he could see with his eyes, and thus found a new way and worked out a unique method of his own. Brother Su, why don't you try again to see if you can use this power? Long Xiaoqian played a trick and increased the difficulty. Qi sensation is just the basics to get started. The really difficult part is how to use it. It took him a whole year to develop the sense of qi and be able to control it freely for use in actual combat. Okay, I'll try. Su Qian seemed to understand, then stood up again and felt a weak airflow surrounding his body. He tried to control the airflow, but found that it was very ethereal and impossible to control. The first attempt ended in failure. Long Xiaoqian smiled complacently, regaining his confidence, patted Su Qian on the shoulder, and said with a smile, Brother Su, it is difficult. Come on, since you have already cultivated the sense of qi, it can be regarded as a small achievement. Let's go, brother will buy you a drink. This is good, at least I don't have to stay here for 3 months. Brother Long, let me try again. Su Chen refused to admit defeat and pondered the reason for his defeat. After a few seconds, his thoughts became clear and he thought of a new method to try. He then opened his X-ray eyes and after a little trial, he was surprised to find that it was not difficult to control the energy as long as he could see clearly. Then, he directed the airflow onto his palm, and with a loud groan, he slammed it on the table. Bang! The solid wood table fell apart. It was shaken into several pieces of rotten wood. Seeing this scene, Long Xiaoqian's eyes widened into two big light bulbs, and he was so shocked that he couldn't even speak. Su, brother Su, you. What the hell is going on? Can you summon up the energy as soon as you get started? And the power is so huge. You know, even though Long Xiaoqian only used 50% of his strength in the palm strike he demonstrated earlier, it only left a palm print on the table, but Su Chen actually smashed the table directly. Does this mean that Su Chen's half-day practice is equivalent to his achievements of more than 10 years? How terrifying. Is this something a human can do? Brother Su, tell me the truth, are you a human being? Avildor. It must be a monster. Brother Long, what are you talking about? Of course I am a human. Su Chen also knew that his progress was too terrifying, and he didn't want others to discover the secret of his eyes, so he said, "This is all thanks to your good teaching, Brother Long. I practiced according to your teaching method and soon found the trick. How about this, to express my gratitude, I buy you a drink." Okay, I'm craving for a drink. To celebrate your small success in cultivation, Brother Su, let's not go home until we're drunk today. As soon as Long Xiaoqian heard that there was wine to drink, he immediately became interested. The two of them agreed to go to a nearby bar for a drink. The training, which was originally supposed to last 3 months, was completed in just half a day. However, at this moment, Long Xiaoqian's cell phone rang. Hey, what did you say? Is there such a thing? He picked up the phone and his expression suddenly changed. Okay, control them all and don't let them run away. I'll be there soon. Hang up the phone. Long Xiaoqian gritted his teeth, his face full of anger, and turned to Su Chen and said, Brother Su, I'm afraid you can't drink this wine. Something happened in your family. What? Su Chen frowned. Just now, a brother from the Black Tiger Society in the old city called and said that the group of people who went to your house to cause trouble yesterday are here again. Your parents. Long Xiaoqian paused in the middle of his words. He was too sad about Su Chen to say anything further. Su Qianan and Yi Yuqing had their hands and feet tied up, and were beaten and kicked by 8 men from the Song family. One of them had his internal organs ruptured and was vomiting blood, while the other had 3 ribs broken and was seriously injured. Brother Long, I understand. However, Su Chen remained extremely calm and turned around to leave. No extra words. There was no complaint, no emotion, not even a ripple on his face. It's not that he didn't have anger, but he just relied on his willpower to suppress the volcano in his heart that was about to erupt. A truly angry lion does not roar. Long Xiaoqian said hurriedly, Brother Su, I will go with you. Su Chen didn't even turn his head, no. Brother Long, let me handle this matter myself. Once, twice, even 3 or 4 times, he chose to endure, just because he was kind. But now it seems that in this world where the strong prey on the weak, kindness is the most useless. Su Chen has seen through it all and can no longer tolerate it, so there is no need to endure it anymore. Even if the King of Heaven came today, he couldn't stop him from killing people. Long Xiaoqian, why are you here alone? Where is Su Chen? As soon as he left, Lu Ming walked in. I was told to practice Tianren posture here and can leave only when I have learned it, but now I am nowhere to be seen. Long Xiaoqian didn't know how to explain it, so he told Su Chen about the results of his practice. When Lu Ming heard this, his eyes widened with shock. What? It only took him half a day to stand up and generate qi. How is this possible? Long Xiaoqian pointed to the broken table next to him and said, Master, I can't believe it either, but the facts are in front of us. Brother Su broke it with 1 palm. See for yourself. When Lu Ming turned around, he was shocked beyond words. The solid wood table was smashed into a pile of waste wood. How much strength does it take to do this? The legendary celestial vein is indeed extraordinary. Lu Ming secretly exclaimed in admiration, thinking that he had made the right choice in accepting this disciple. If he continues like this, Su Chen will soon be able to shoulder the heavy responsibility of being the master. Long Xiaoqian, go to the Xiong family immediately and inform old man Xiong that it's time to pay the medical fee. When Lu Ming sees patients, he seldom charges money. He usually asks the patient to do something for him as payment. Originally, the Xiong family's medical fees were meant for Su Chen, but unexpectedly, Su Chen made rapid progress. In this way, that thing could be done in advance. Soon. Xinyuan community. When Su Chen returned home, more than a dozen people from the Black Tiger Society had been waiting for a long time. Brother Su Chen, you're back. The one who spoke was the eldest brother of this gang, named Sang Biao. When he found out that someone was causing trouble at Su Chen's house again, Sang Biao immediately brought people to their house and subdued the 8 men of the Song family, but he was one step too late. Su Qian and Yi Yuqin were seriously injured. Where are my parents? Su Chen asked. He has been sent to the hospital. He is seriously injured and may need to stay in the hospital for 10 days to half a month. Sang Biao answered, then looked at the Song family's men who were tied up in the house and said, Brother Su Chen, what are you going to do with these people? When Su Chen heard that his parents were seriously injured, a murderous intent flashed in his eyes and he said coldly, untie them. Loosen up? Are you going to let them go? Sang Biao was stunned. Brother Su Chen, these 8 guys are so crazy that they even bullied 2 old people. We must not give up easily. Su Chen said, I am not going to let them go, but I want to give them a chance. Give them a chance. These words puzzled all the brothers of the Black Tiger Society. What's the meaning? Although Sang Biao didn't understand what was going on, he still waved his hand and signaled to untie them. You only have one chance. 8 of you can come at me together. If you can defeat me, I will not pursue what happened today. Su Chen's face was gloomy. He is now completely different from the past. The so-called opportunity was just a chance for the 8 of them to redeem their lives. Because today, none of the Song family's men will be able to return alive. Su Chen is determined to kill, and even gods and Buddhas cannot stop him. Chapter 23 I want the Song family to be destroyed. Boy, do you really want to fight 8 of us alone? Some of the Song family's men were unconvinced. Wasn't this simply seeking death? 8 people against 1, even a single piss from anyone would be enough to drown him. Su Chen's expression remained unchanged as he asked calmly, before I send you off, I have a question. Last time you came to cause trouble, I let you go once. Why did you dare to come again this time and attack my parents? The dragon has a reverse scale, whoever touches it will die. Now these people have completely touched Su Chen's bottom line. Kid, who do you think you are? Do we need to let you go? The leading man looked at him with disdain and said coldly, if you weren't so lucky to have gotten in touch with the Black Tiger Society, we would have killed you in a matter of minutes. Now you are courting death. The Song family had already completed their investigation of Su Chen's background. What a waste! Now he is confident that he will not let the Black Tiger Society interfere, and he wants to fight 1 against 8 people. He is simply jumping into the fire pit. If you want to die, then I will grant your wish. Let's go together and kill him. After that, without further ado, to prevent the boy from regretting his decision, they rushed forward. Su Chen clenched his fists tightly, and the anger burning in his heart could no longer be suppressed. This time, he will make the Song family pay a heavy price. Brother Sang Biao, what should we do? If Brother Su Chen gets hurt, we won't be able to explain to Lord Long. Seeing that the 8 men of the Song family had begun to besiege Su Chen, a brother from the Black Tiger Society said worriedly. Sang Biao was also anxious after hearing this, but Su Chen insisted on fighting alone, and he couldn't stop him. He could only sigh and said, keep an eye on him. If there is any sign of something wrong, we will go forward to help immediately. This is the only solution for now. After all, 1 person is fighting against 8 people. He is not Ip Man, so who can beat him? However, the next second, a scene that shocked everyone appeared. Bang! A dull sound rang out. But then one of the Song family's men flew into the air and was knocked away. His body was like an arrow shot from a bow, crashing out of the window, falling from the 2nd floor into the flower bed downstairs, spitting blood from his mouth, and died on the spot. He didn't die from the fall, but his internal organs were shattered before he fell from the building, and he died while still in mid-air. It was the man who was the leader among the Song family. This punch is returned to you. Su Chen's face was gloomy. He had always remembered the face of the man he had beaten to death. It was this man who had taken the lead in beating his parents when he came to claim compensation. None of you can escape. He glanced coldly at the other 7 people. The 7 men were stunned. Not only did they forget to hit anyone, they even forgot to move a finger. Cold sweat broke out on his forehead. What happened just now? Knock someone away with just one punch. Such a powerful force must be at least 1,000 pounds, right? When did Chen become so powerful? Hallucination. What they don't know is that Chen is no longer the same person he used to be. He is no longer the useless guy who was ridden on and shit on by others. Instead, he has transformed himself into the only disciple of the genius Dr. Lu Ming, and has learned the unique skills of Qianren Zhuang. Not to mention fighting 1 against 8, even if there were 8 more, I could easily kill them in seconds. You don't dare to come over, right? Fine, I'll start first. Chen would never give this group of people another chance. The murderous aura surged like a torrent, and wherever it went, there would be blood. Forbearance? Impossible. Facts have proved that the more tolerant you are, the more arrogant and domineering the other party will become. He has been patient with the Song family many times, but in return he received revenge again and again. This time, he will definitely not tolerate it again. Boom. 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 After 3 consecutive punches, each hitting the flesh, 3 of the Song family's men fell to the ground, vomiting blood. Under Chen's penetrating eyes, these people had nowhere to hide and no chance to escape, not even to fight back. The wailing and screaming were endless, echoing throughout the entire community. Sang dear brother Chen he. All the members of the Black Tiger Society were dumbfounded. They stared with their eyes wide open in infatuation. Do you need help with this? Chen can kill all 8 of the Song family's men by himself. But, how is that possible? It's only been 1 day, how come Chen has become like a different person? Sang Biao was also stunned, so strong. He has followed Long Xiaoqian for the longest time and has experienced many life and death battles. He has also seen Long Xiaoqian's murderous look, which is exactly the same as the aura emanating from Chen at this moment. Looks like. Very much like. Chen's current appearance is exactly the same as that of Lord Long when he was young on the battlefield. Chen. I know I was wrong. Please don't kill me. Please. In less than a minute, 8 Song family men were killed, leaving only 1. Those 7 people were all killed with 1 punch, beaten to death. Blood dyed the living room red. The smell of blood also filled the house. The entire Su family has turned into a hell of killing. Chen's eyes were bloodshot, and he looked down at the last of the Song family's men like a devil, and said coldly, when you beat my parents just now, did they beg for mercy? The answer is obvious, you must have asked. However, for these thugs, the 2 elderly people's prayers only fueled their desire to beat people. I. The man didn't know how to answer and could not utter a word. Chen Jin gritted his teeth and said angrily, you can even kill 2 old men. I will destroy you. Snap. After saying that, he stepped on the man's thigh. The leg bones were broken in an instant. Screams pierced the sky. But that's not the end. You can't stand this. Snap. Another kick, stepping hard on the other leg. The Song family's subordinate could no longer shout, his voice had become hoarse. Only now did he understand what it meant to be in excruciating pain. Both of his legs were completely disabled. Even if he survived, he would be disabled for life. Die. Bang. Chen shouted angrily and smashed his fist on the man's head, directly breaking half of his head. The remaining half of the head rolled to the ground like a ball. Blood gushed out. The house was finally quiet. The ground is covered with corpses and blood. The brothers of the Black Tiger Society had seen big scenes before, but at this moment they were all trembling with fear. Let me ask you, who would not be afraid when facing a murderous demon like Chen? Brother Sang Biao, I need a favor from you. After a long time, Chen calmed down and turned to speak. Sang Biao was so impressed by Chen that he even changed his address and said, Brother Chen, please tell me what I need. I'm going to the hospital to visit my parents. Please, deliver this half of my head to Song Zijin. And write a letter saying that I, Chen, will visit the Song family soon to resolve the issue. Chen said solemnly with a cold expression. Chapter 24, The Sea Shocks. After dealing with the 8 men of the Song family, Su Chen hurried to the hospital. Both parents were seriously injured, especially Yi Yuqin, whose broken ribs had pierced her heart and her life was in danger at any time. The hospital was in chaos because such an operation was extremely difficult. Just as the doctors were holding an emergency meeting to discuss the plan, Su Chen had already sneaked into the operating room. "Mom, I'm sorry." Looking at his critically ill mother on the operating table, Su Chen couldn't help but burst into tears. "This time, it's because of him again. Always causing harm to your family." After going through so much, Su Chen finally understood that honest people will not be respected in this world. Only by becoming stronger and gaining absolute strength can he best protect his family. "Mom, don't worry, I'm here and I won't let anything happen to you." Su Chen wiped his tears, then turned on his X-ray vision to observe Yi Yuqin's condition. 3 ribs were broken, one of which had pierced into their heart like a sharp blade, causing severe internal bleeding. In this case, surgery is unlikely to be effective. He immediately pressed his palm on Yi Yuqin's body, mobilized the vitality, and injected it into the meridians bit by bit. With the injection of vital force, Yi Yuqin's internal bleeding improved and her vital signs stabilized. However, if the rib that pierced the heart is not removed, the situation will still worsen. Thinking of this, he didn't care about anything else. He picked up the scalpel beside him and cut a hole in Yi Yuqin's heart. With his other hand, he continuously injected vitality into her and brutally restored and repaired the ribs. With the powerful recovery ability of the vitality force, even though Su Chen had no surgical experience, he successfully pulled Yi Yuqin back from the brink of death. Finally, the wound is sutured and the operation is completed. However, Yi Yuqin's blood and energy were still stagnant and she had no vitality, as if there was still a hurdle she had not yet overcome. What to do? Su Chen thought hard. It would be great if his master was here. That's right, master. He suddenly remembered Lu Ming's mysterious acupuncture technique, which could stimulate the flow of qi and blood and help people recover their energy. His mind immediately recalled the 9,981 injections that Lu Ming had used to treat Mr. Xiong's liver disease. He replayed them in his mind like watching a movie, not missing a single detail. No matter how delicate the technique was, Su Chen had a sharp eye and could not only see the force, depth, and method of needle insertion, but he could even see the changes in the qi and blood in old man Xiong's body after each needle was inserted, and thus analyze the purpose and function of all the needle roots. After a few minutes, I had a general idea of what was going on, so I didn't waste any more time. I found the silver needles in the operating room and inserted the needles one by one according to the techniques I remembered. It really works. After 40 needles, Yi Yuqin's blood circulation had gradually become smoother. Her originally lifeless appearance began to regain some color, and her face became rosy. After 81 injections, his qi and blood were completely restored, and his breathing and heartbeat returned to normal. Success! The first time he used it, Su Chen successfully replicated the unique skills of the genius Dr. Lu Ming and pulled his mother back from the brink of death. After observing it again with my X-ray vision, I found that there was no problem. Su Chen finally let go of his anxious heart. If anything happened to his mother, he would feel guilty for the rest of his life. Master Song, it's time to settle old and new grudges. After Su Chen finished treating Yi Yuqin, he left the operating room and went to the Song family alone. Yes, he wants revenge on Song Zijian. As soon as I left, the doctors came out after the meeting. Did you call Divine Dr. Lu at the first hospital? I've already notified them. They'll be here in a few minutes. Our hospital is definitely not able to perform such a major operation, so we can only entrust it to Dr. Lu. By the way, how is the patient? He is not very stable. He has been receiving blood transfusions and oxygen. His life is in danger at any time. Give him emergency treatment first, and then let him receive it after Dr. Lu arrives. As the doctors talked, they entered the operating room. However, when they saw the situation in the operating room, they were all stunned. Yi Yuqin actually sat up. Everyone thought she was faking her death, so they rushed forward to check, and were shocked to find that all of Yi Yuqin's symptoms had healed. The internal bleeding has recovered and the ribs have recovered. It can be said that he is completely cured. What's going on? Was she like this when she was brought in just now? The doctor has begun to suspect that there may be something wrong with his memory. The patient whose life was hanging by a thread, recovered in the blink of an eye? There's no way this could happen. At this moment, Lu Ming rushed over and said, "Where is the patient?" Let me see. Dr. Lu, you've come at the right time. Take a look at this patient. He's really amazing. The doctor quickly explained the situation. When Lu Ming heard this, he also found it incredible. He then stretched out his hand to feel Yi Yuqin's pulse and found that Yi Yuqin's blood and qi were vigorous. It was obvious that she had received the treatment of exquisite acupuncture. He couldn't help but exclaimed, Tianshu 9 needles. Tianshu 9 needles. Hearing about this legendary acupuncture method, the attending doctor was surprised and asked, Divine Dr. Lu, isn't this your unique skill? In the whole world, the only person who can use the 9 needles of Tianshu is the genius Dr. Lu Ming. There is no one else who can control it. Lu Ming's face was also filled with shock. This unique skill was the secret of the immortal doctor sect, and it was impossible for outsiders to master it. As for his 2 disciples, Long Xiaoqian was just a registered disciple and had never been taught any medical skills, while Su Chen had just started learning and had not had time to teach yet. Su Chen. Thinking of this, Lu Ming suddenly understood something and immediately asked, What is the name of the patient's family member? The doctor looked at the nurse hastily, and the nurse quickly looked through their files and said, I found out that the 2 patients who came in are a couple. They have a son named Su Chen, who came to visit just now. It's really Su Chen. Lu Ming was shocked. Good boy. You are really amazing. The shock in his heart had made him unable to control his breathing, which became rapid. He had only demonstrated such an exquisite acupuncture technique once when treating Mr. Xiong's liver disease, but Su Chen was able to copy it perfectly. I really wasn't wrong. This kid is indeed the chosen one. A perfect apprentice, a good material for studying medicine, the successor he had been looking for half his life, was indeed Su Chen. Afterwards, he immediately made a phone call. Long Xiaoqian, what happened in Su Chen's home? Master, Brother Su said he wanted to solve it himself and didn't let me, so I didn't tell you. On the other end of the phone, Long Xiaoqian didn't expect his master to ask, and he said like a child who had done something wrong, Song Zijin's people went to Brother Su's house to cause trouble and beat up his parents. Is there such a thing? The Song family is so brave. Lu Ming frowned, and suddenly a flash of inspiration came to his mind. He exclaimed, Oh no! Su Chen just left. I'm afraid he went to the Song family. Long Xiaoqian, gather people and rush to the Song family immediately. Chapter 25 I wonder who dares to hurt Su Chen. What? Brother Su went to the Song family. When Long Xiaoqian heard this, he felt that something was wrong. Although Su Chen has amazing talent in martial arts, he has only just gotten started. He is at most a half-dancer and is still far from being a true powerhouse. Now going to the Song family alone to seek revenge is clearly like a sheep walking into a tiger's mouth. You know, there are warriors in the Song family, especially Ji Buchang, who is also a warrior with some accomplishments. After hanging up the phone, Long Xiaoqian immediately gave an order to gather all the brothers from the Black Tiger Society closest to the Song family and rush to the Song family together. On this day, Zhonghai was in an uproar. What? An emergency decree? What happened? I don't know. Lord Long has ordered all the brothers to rush to the Song family immediately. Go to the Song family. Strange, I've been a member for more than 10 years, but this is the first time I've seen Lord Long make such a big move. All the nearby halls have mobilized, with at least 200 people in total, all rushing to the Song family. What happened to the Song family? Could it be that Song Zijin offended Lord Long last time at Buyuan Pavilion? No way, if this is the case, given Long Yi's temper, he would have taken action long ago. Why wait until now? Oh my god, what happened to the Black Tiger Society? Now. Song family. Damn. Su Chen, you bastard, how dare you kill someone from my Song family? Song Zijin looked at the half-head in the wooden box in front of him and Su Chen's letter, and was furious. None of the 8 men of the Song family were spared. This is clearly a declaration of war against the Song family. My dear, I can assure you that this was definitely not done by that loser Su Chen. It was probably done by someone from the Black Tiger Society. At this time, Lu Xiaomai walked out from the side hall. After hearing this, Song Zijin also felt that it made sense. After all, Su Chen didn't have the ability to do this. What kind of tricks did this useless guy use to deceive Long Xiaoqian? With the Black Tiger Club backing him up, things will be difficult. At this point, we can only ask Ji Buchang for help. After all, Jibo grew up in the area north of Kyoto and had his own influence. Bang! Suddenly, there was a loud noise. The big iron gate of the yard collapsed with a loud bang. Song Zijian was startled and looked outside hurriedly, only to see Su Chen walking in slowly. Su Chen! When he saw the person coming, Song Zijian was surprised and happy. What is surprising is, how come this kid is so strong that he can even kick down a big iron gate? The good news was that he was looking for Su Chen to settle the score, and he came to his door. Da. Hearing the noise outside, the men in the Song family villa rushed out and surrounded Su Chen. Su Chen, you are so brave. There is a road to heaven but you don't take it. There is no door to hell but you break in. Song Zijian smiled proudly and went out to greet him. This is the Song family, there is no way Su Chen can get out alive. Su Chenwan took a look and said indifferently, Mr. Song, it's time to settle the accounts between us. Together with Lu Xiaomai, he went to the house to claim compensation and beat him and his parents. This is a crime. He lost to him in the gambling on stones in the market, refused to admit it and had people beat him up. This is a second crime. In Buyuan Pavilion, Ji Buchang challenged him to a gambling stone contest, and lost to him again, and then he refused to pay. This was his third crime. He sent 8 men to ambush downstairs of his house, waiting for an opportunity to assassinate him. This is the fourth crime. Out of kindness, he let the 8 men of the Song family go, but Song Zijian allowed these 8 men to come back and beat his parents severely. This was the fifth crime. These 5 charges are all blood debts, and all of them are punishable by death. Today, he will make Song Zijian pay for his blood debt with blood. Humph, kid, you are so bold that you dare to come to the Song family to cause trouble. But at this moment, a scolding voice was heard. Following the sound, I saw an old man leaning out of the window on the 2nd floor, staring down like a tiger. It's Ji Buchang. Master, you've come at the right time. Su Chen is here to kill us. Just wait and see how I chop off his head. With Ji Buchang around, Song Zijian felt even more fearless. A mere Su Chen cannot cause any trouble at all. All of you step aside. I can handle this loser on my own. It just so happened that Ji Buchang taught him some martial arts, which was more than enough to defeat Su Chen. The Song family's men all knew that Su Chen was a third-rate person and ignored him at all, stepping aside to watch the show. Lu Xiaomai didn't realize the seriousness of the problem. She smiled coquettishly and said, Honey, please don't beat him to death. He still owes us 1 million. Facing the discrimination from the Song family, Su Chen not only did not feel a bit frustrated, but instead a smile appeared on his face. This kid is crazy, he can still laugh. Boy, you must have been kicked in the head by a donkey. Take a good look at your current situation. That's right, you can still laugh even when you are about to die. The Song family members who were watching the fun nearby couldn't help laughing and thought Su Chen was a complete fool. Song Zijian also laughed out loud, har har har, this kid must have been scared silly by me. However, the next second. Mr. Song, I am laughing at your stupidity. Be prepared to pay the price for underestimating your enemy. Su Chen stepped forward quickly and suddenly rushed to Song Zijian's side. Then he gathered all his energy into his fist and punched out suddenly. This one punch gathered all his hatred and was unstoppable. Not good. Ji Buchang on the 2nd floor noticed something was wrong at a glance. Su Chen's punch was extremely powerful, obviously not something an ordinary person could deliver. This kid's punches are so powerful. Master Song, get out of the way. However, it was too late. Bang! Su Chen's fist slammed into Song Zijian's chest. Song Zijian suddenly felt as if his body was hit by a huge truck. It was extremely painful and his entire chest collapsed. His body also flew into the air and was knocked away more than 10 meters, hitting the courtyard wall hard. How could a flesh and blood body withstand such tremendous force? He spat out blood and fainted on the spot. Mr. Song! Master Song! It was not until this moment that the Song family's men realized that something was wrong. Hurry, save them! Save them! Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance quickly! Boy, you dare to hurt my young master, you are seeking death! Go! Kill him! Everyone was in chaos. Some were trying to save people, some were besieging Su Chen, and some were so frightened by the shocking punch just now that they couldn't recover for a long time. Humph! How dare you, you little brat, show off your skills in front of me? Ji Buchang had already seen Su Chen's transformation, and immediately jumped down from the second floor, landing steadily in the courtyard, and shouted, "Before and were you in pavilion, Long Xiaoqian backed you up and didn't kill you. Now let's see who can help you. It's only been 2 days since we last met, and Su Chen has gone from being a powerless waste to a warrior that's 1 in a million. Such an astonishing growth rate is simply a monster. This person must not be allowed to stay. Ji Buchang intends to strangle Su Chen to death, and the internal energy circulates, ready to kill him." However, at this moment, a chaotic sound of footsteps was heard outside the door. "I am the leader of the Chenshin Hall of the Black Tiger Society, Crow. I want to see who dares to touch Su Chen. I am the overlord of Yuhua Hall. If anyone dares to touch Su Chen, dozens of brothers in Yuhua Hall will kill him. I am the mighty dragon of Furong Hall. How dare you touch brother Su Chen? Captain Ji, I'm warning you, if you dare to touch my brother Su, my Black Tiger Society will never let you leave Zhonghai alive." Crowds of people poured in groups and dense crowds like a tide. There are so many that you can't see the end of them. There must be at least hundreds of them. Each of them was holding a machete or iron rod, looking ferocious. Chapter 26. The feud is completely settled. Long Xiaoqian, what are you doing? Do you want to bully the minority with your numbers? Faced with such a large formation of hundreds of people from the Black Tiger Society, even Ji Buchan was a little afraid. After all, his forces are not in Zhonghai, so even if he wants to summon them over, it will take time. And at this moment, the Black Tiger Society's posture showed that they had no intention of giving him any time. "Master Ji, let me make it clear to you. I just want to use my numbers to bully the minority. What can you do about it?" Long Xiaoqian didn't give him any face and said disdainfully, "You should know what the Song family has done. Song Zijian must pay the price for this today. Since you are not a member of the Song family, I will not attack you. I advise you to hide aside and don't meddle in other people's business. In Zhonghai, no one dares to disobey the Black Tiger Society. The Song family is like a clown, constantly playing tricks on Long Xiaoqian's bottom line. This account must be settled today." Ji Buchang knew that the situation was not favorable for him and he absolutely could not force his way forward at the moment, so he put away his murderous intent, glared at Su Chen coldly, and then stepped aside. Who could have thought that a waste in the eyes of the Song family could actually alarm hundreds of brothers from the Black Tiger Society to come for support, and even Long Xiaoqian came. If this matter were to get out, the entire Zhonghai would be in an uproar. "Lu Xiaomai, it's time to settle the accounts between us." At this time, Su Chen's cold gaze fell on Lu Xiaomai again. Lu Xiaomai was struck by lightning in an instant. Song Zijian, whom she relied on, was only breathing his last breath, and Ji Buchang chose to stand by and watch. She no longer had any support, and she was so scared that her body went limp and she knelt on the ground. "Su Chen, please listen to my explanation, please listen to my explanation." She was at a loss and said in panic. "You can't blame me for this. Song Zijian told me to do it. In fact, you are the only one I love. Su Chen, I love you. We are already talking about marriage and have even had a wedding. I will be your wife. You can't hurt me. Please, don't destroy me. Haven't you always wanted my body? I can give it to you right now." In excitement, she lifted her clothes, revealing half of her breasts, and shouted, "Right here. Right at the Song family. There's a bed inside, you can do anything to me. I can do anything. I promise to serve you comfortably." From the blind date to the time they met, Lu Xiaomai had been using sweet words to keep Su Chen hanging and constantly asking for money. At the end of the year, Su Chen spent all his salary on this woman. In order to marry a woman, he even borrowed money from everywhere to raise enough money for their high bride price and wedding banquet. But this woman ran away on their wedding day. From beginning to end, Su Chen didn't even touch her hand, just because of Lu Xiaomai's words, claiming that couples cannot have sex before marriage. But now I think about how sad this sentence is. When Lu Xiaomai was in bed with Song Zijian, did she remember what she said to Su Chen? "Lu Xiaomai, you know, I should actually thank you." Su Chen had a blank expression on his face. He was indifferent to the plea for mercy from the gold digger. He had already given up on her. "Thank you for never letting me touch you. Because now whenever I think of you, I feel sick." "Su Chen, you don't want to touch me, does that mean you want to let me go?" Upon hearing this, Lu Xiaomai immediately became energetic. Su Chen looked stern and said, "I really don't want to dirty my hands. But if you want to live, do two things first. First, return all the money you cheated me of. Also, tell me who Shen Miao is. Lu Xiaomai kowtowed repeatedly as if she had been pardoned. Su Chen, I will return all the money to you, not a cent less. But I really don't know what Shen Miao's identity is. She and I are indeed college classmates, but we haven't been in touch much since graduation. In fact, I specially invited her to the wedding, just to let her squeeze more money from you. I promised to settle the account with her 30:70. Fuck, you bitch, how could you do such a thing? Hearing this, Long Xiaoqian couldn't bear it anymore. Such a gold digger is really outrageous. She plays with people's feelings, squeezes money, and has no moral bottom line at all. A woman like this would be a bargain if she were sold as a prostitute. Is that so? Su Chen frowned, but in the end he still didn't get the answer he wanted. It seemed that he had to ask Shen Miao in person. He turned to look at Long Xiaoqian. Brother Long, do you hit women? When Lu Xiaomai heard this, she immediately became anxious and shouted, Su Chen, didn't you say you would let me go? Su Chen smiled coldly, I'm sorry, I only said that I didn't want to dirty my hands, but I never said I would let you go. Just because I don't hit you doesn't mean I won't let others hit you. There is no need to show mercy to this kind of gold digger. I'm afraid of dirtying my hands with such a disgusting woman. Long Xiaoqian looked disgusted and turned to Chen Hall Master Crow and said, Go and give this woman a few dozen slaps in the face. Crow had disliked Lu Xiaomai for a long time, so he immediately walked up to her, swung his arm and slapped her. Snap! 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 Crisp slapping sounds rang out. He hit Lu Xiaomai in the face until she was bleeding and her face was swollen like a bun. Lu Xiaomai, once you return the money to me, our grudge will be settled. Don't let me see you again, or I'll beat you up every time I see you. Su Chen left a fierce remark and then winked at the crow. The crow understood and grabbed Lu Xiaomai's hair, dragging her all the way, and threw her out of the door like garbage. Lu Xiaomai's scalp was pulled off, and she felt so regretful. If I had known that Su Chen would have such a promising future, I should not have left so easily. Unfortunately, there is no medicine for regret in the world. After dealing with this stinky woman, Su Chen slowly walked to the unconscious Song Zijin, with a cold look, as if staring at prey. Mr. Song, I'm here to take you on your way. Today, Su Chen has completely understood the rules of how this world works. He knows clearly that if he does not wipe out the Song family, they will definitely cause trouble for him in the future. The best proof of this is that his parents were beaten so hard that they were hospitalized. So Song Zijin must die. How dare you hurt my son, you arrogant boy. I'll kill you. Just when Su Chen was about to finish off Song Zijin, a scolding voice suddenly came. As their voice sounded, a figure appeared, passing over the heads of the Black Tiger Society members, and struck Su Chen on the back with a palm from mid-air. Bang! Puff! Su Chen was hit hard and immediately spurted out a mouthful of blood. R. Brother Su! Brother Su Chen! Seeing this, Long Xiaoqian and several Black Tiger Club leaders rushed forward. Fortunately, Su Chen had already cultivated his energy and had a wisp of true energy to protect his body, so he was not killed by the palm strike, but he was also seriously injured. Su Chen endured the pain in his body and stared with resentment at the man who attacked him from behind. It was a middle-aged man with a scar on his face. One could tell he had a strong aura and was obviously a martial artist. Song Yi, you are so brave that you dare to attack from behind. Long Xiaoqian recognized the man at a glance. It was Song Zijin's father, the head of the Song family, Song Yi. Chapter 27 Amazing Recovery Ability. Master Song, you are finally back. When Ji Buchang saw his master, he felt like he had seen a savior. He hurried over and said, During the time you were away, the Black Tiger Society bullied the Song family so badly. Song Yi looked solemnly at Long Xiaoqian and asked, Master Long, my Song family has always respected you very much and has always kept to ourselves. Why are you being so aggressive? When Long Xiaoqian heard this, he was furious. Good fellow, Song Yi, you are the bad guy who complains first, right? It was obviously your son who lost the bet with Brother Su and refused to admit it. He also went to cause trouble for Brother Su's family again and again. Song Yi didn't care about that, and said calmly, the bet was just a joke between children. It's just empty words, and there's no life and death agreement signed. Besides, you said that the Song family went to the Su family to make trouble, but what I saw now was that it was clearly your Black Tiger Society who came to my Song family to make trouble and injured my son. Distortion of facts. The father and son are of the same character. Upon hearing this, Long Xiaoqian became furious. Song Zijian was beaten half-crippled by Su Chen, it was all his own fault. But Song Yi, as an elder, shamelessly attacked Su Chen from behind and did not take the Black Tiger Society seriously at all. Song Yi, you are so brave. Long Xiaoqian had no intention of pampering him, even if people accused him of bullying the weak with the strong. Be prepared to take action immediately. Brother Long. Stop it. However, at this moment, Su Chen spoke up, this is my own business, let me solve it myself. Brother Su, you. This sentence again. Long Xiaoqian was extremely shocked. He didn't expect that even at this moment, Su Chen could still be so domineering. Before we knew it, the timid and often bullied boy has now grown into a real man. Su Chen stood up with great effort, enduring the pain in his back. He stared at Song Yi with cold eyes and said in a deep voice, you are Song Zijian's father, right? Remember what happened today. When I recover from my injuries, I will definitely visit you again and return the blow you gave me tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, or even 10,000-fold. Also, I will definitely take off Song Zijian's dog head. Every word is sonorous and powerful. This is not a threat, this is a promise. He will always remember everything the Song family did for him. Humph, if you have the ability, just come on. Song Yi looked down on Su Chen and didn't take him seriously at all. He turned to Long Xiaoqian and said, Master Long, my Song family is small and can't accommodate so many people. I think this matter should end here. I won't see you off. Of course, if Master Long insists on making a fuss, I, Song Yi, will accompany you. Song Yi. You. Long Xiaoqian was furious. No one in Zhonghai dared to talk to him like that. Just as he was about to explode, he heard a younger brother next to him shouting, Master Long, it's bad, Brother Su Chen has fainted. What? When he turned around, he saw Su Chen had fallen to the ground due to serious injuries. Long Xiaoqian did not know any medical skills, so he immediately decided to send the man to the hospital to see a master for treatment. As for the Song family, let Su Chen destroy it personally after he recovers from his injuries. Song Yi, listen carefully, wash your neck clean, and when Brother Su recovers from his injury, I will come to settle the score with you. Retreat. After saying that, he hurriedly carried Su Chen into the car. The rest of the Black Tiger Society brothers also followed and left one after another. The Song family is finally quiet. Call an ambulance immediately and send Zijian for treatment. Without any outsiders present, Song Yi finally couldn't hold it anymore and almost broke down emotionally. First hospital. Master, how is Brother Su doing? Seeing Lu Ming coming out of the operating room, Long Xiaoqian hurried forward to ask. Lu Ming glared at him and scolded him, there are so many people in the Black Tiger Society, but they can't protect him alone. How can you be the boss? His words revealed his doting towards this novice disciple. Long Xiaoqian looked aggrieved, who knew that bastard Song Yi would attack us from behind. We were completely defenseless. What? Song Yi is back. Lu Ming's expression froze. Song Yi is a 1,000-year-old fox who is good at calculating throughout his life. Because he is dissatisfied with the Black Tiger Society's supreme dominant position in Zhonghai, he often makes small moves behind the scenes, makes friends with Ji Buqian, and often travels to Kyoto to visit and make friends with major families, just to use outside forces to contain the Black Tiger Society. Coming back at this critical moment, is there something fishy going on? Long Xiaoqian was anxious, Master, let's not talk about this for now. How is Brother Su's injury? Lu Ming raised his hand and pointed inside the operating room, saying, ask him yourself. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Chen walked out with his head held high, looking energetic, as if nothing had happened. Long Xiaoqian found it incredible and hurried forward to check, Brother Su, what happened? Aren't you seriously injured? He vomited blood and fainted. Besides, Song Yi is also a martial artist with some skills, and one palm strike is enough to kill a cow. Even if Su Chen had a wisp of true energy protecting his body, he would be crippled if not dead after being hit by such a heavy palm, and at the very least he would have a few broken bones or meridians. But now it is intact. Brother Long, I don't have time to explain to you now. I have to go to the old town hospital to visit my parents. This trip to the Song family took up a lot of time, and I don't know how my parents are doing. Unfortunately, although Song Zijian was seriously injured, he was not killed. However, there is still a long time to come, and Su Chen has already made a vow to make the Song family disappear in Zhonghai. After saying this, he said goodbye to Lu Ming and Long Xiaoqian, and then rushed to the old town hospital. Master, what's going on? After the people left, Long Xiaoqian still couldn't believe it. How could the injury recover so quickly? Lu Ming was also surprised and said, do you remember that I once told you that Su Chen has the pulse of a celestial being? People with this pulse have extraordinary physical fitness. Even if they are fatally injured, they can recover in a very short time without any treatment. What? Recover on its own? Long Xiaoqian was shocked, as if he had heard a myth. Lu Ming nodded and said, human cells can regenerate naturally, and Su Chen's physical fitness can stimulate cell regeneration at a speed far exceeding that of ordinary people. In other words, he has the ability to regenerate at super speed. Super speed regeneration. These shocking words, like a thunderclap, resounded in Long Xiaoqian's mind. Amazing. Creating the legend of a gambling stone field that opened 5 imperial green stones in a row. In just half a day, I learned the Qianren posture, how to stand with energy, and how to apply it flexibly in actual combat. Even if you are seriously injured, you can recover quickly on your own. So many miracles, all gathered in one person. Is this still a human being? No. It's a monster. A peerless Avildor that only appears once in 1,000 years. It seems like it's time to pass on all of the Immortal Doctor Sect's unique skills to Su Chen in advance. Lu Ming was extremely pleased. With such a disciple, the Immortal Doctor Sect would be prosperous in the near future. Chapter 28. You are the master. Su Chen returned to the old town hospital to visit his parents. After his treatment and Lu Ming's diagnosis and treatment, his parents' condition has stabilized and they only need to stay in the hospital for a few days for observation before being discharged. In a good mood, Su Chen hummed a little tune on his way home, and bought an old hen on the way, preparing to make some chicken soup for his parents to nourish their bodies. As soon as I got downstairs, I found 3 people squatting at the door of the unit smoking. All of them had ferocious looks, as if they were waiting for something. Seeing Su Chen coming back, the 3 of them immediately threw away their cigarette butts, stood up, and reached for their waists. Su Chen opened his X-ray glasses vigilantly and found that these people all had machetes hidden on their waists. Obviously they are here to deal with him. Could it be the Song family again? You bastards, I haven't even come to look for you yet, but you come to my door first. You came at the right time. I was just worried about where to vent my anger about Song Yi injuring me. Boy, you are Su Chen, right? Someone wants to buy your head for a high price. I'm sorry. Brothers, the target has been determined, it's time to get to work. The 3 men looked at the photo in their hands and immediately confirmed Su Chen's identity. They raised their machetes and prepared to take action. Su Chen was also ready to defend himself, gathering his true energy into his fists, ready to fight. However, at this moment, Master, you don't even need to take action to deal with a few scoundrels. Suddenly, a shout was heard in the distance. At the same time, a large group of people rushed over aggressively. At least 50 or 60 people. Some held machetes, and some held iron rods. You guys are so brave, you actually dare to ambush us downstairs of our Hall Master's building. If you want to make a move on our Hall Master, you have to get past me first. You bastards, put your weapons down. I'll chop down anyone who dares to touch me. In an instant, dozens of people rushed forward, blocking the roads in the community. They are all members of the Black Tiger Society in the old city. Su Chen was squeezed so hard that he didn't even have a place to stand. When the killers saw the enemy's huge force, their legs became weak with fear. They quickly threw their weapons to the ground and knelt on the ground with their hands on their heads. How the hell do we fight this? There are only 3 of us. There's no need for you to send dozens of people, right? Even if 10 people fight one, there are still a group of people with nothing to do. Who are you? Su Chen looked at the dark crowd in front of him and felt a little confused. One of the younger brothers explained, Master, Lord Long has already given the order. From now on, everyone in the old city is under your charge. You are our master. Lord Long has also given the order to protect you, so we have specially arranged people nearby to watch over you 24 hours a day. If anyone does anything bad to you, we will come out in full force to kill him. Is that so? Su Chen was secretly happy. Brother Long was indeed awesome. This is a good thing. With the brothers from the Black Tiger Society guarding nearby, no one will dare to cause trouble for his parents in the future. You don't need to protect me, but I will need to trouble you brothers after my parents come back. As for the position of Hall Master, I don't dare to take it. From now on, let's just call each other brothers." He bowed and thanked him, without any airs of a Hall Master at all. With just a few words, all the brothers of the Black Tiger Society present admired him. Being able to follow such a leader would make life easier in the future. Then Chen sent everyone back to rest, leaving only 3 killers kneeling on the ground with their heads in their hands. "Okay, time to deal with you." Chen looked over coldly. The 3 assassins were so scared that they kowtowed repeatedly. "Grandpa Chen, we are sorry, we didn't recognize the great man, we offended him, we slap him in the face, slap him in the face." Snap! 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 After saying that, he slapped himself in the face one by one. He was beaten so hard that stars appeared in his eyes and his face was swollen. If they had known that Chen had the support of the Black Tiger Society, they would never have come. But the information does not show that Chen is the leader of the Black Tiger Society. Everyone in Zhonghai knows that if you offend the Black Tiger Society, you will die. Song Yi sent you here, you are such a coward. You're already scared before the fight even starts. Chen snorted coldly, looking down upon these 3 pieces of trash. Hearing his words, the leading man hurriedly said, "Grandpa Chen, you are wrong, we are not from the Song family, but we received 100,000 yuan from Shen Dao to buy your head." Another person added hastily, "You stole Shen Dao's sister. The Shen family is in chaos. The head of the Shen family has issued a hunting order. You must be killed." "Yes, yes, yes. We received a reward, so we came to trouble you without considering our own abilities." Shen family. It's actually the Shen family. Chen was a little surprised and almost forgot about this matter. Huh? Could it be that the last time their house was destroyed, it was someone from the Shen family who did it? It must be. That's right. Shen Miao. If it weren't for the appearance of these 3 killers, he would have really forgotten about Shen Miao. The situation was urgent, and he was too lazy to pay attention to these 3 pieces of trash. He waved his hand and signaled them to get out. The 3 men felt as if they had been pardoned. They kowtowed and thanked him quickly, then ran away in a hurry. "Hey, Brother Long." Chen called Long Xiaoqian and asked, "Do you know the Zhonghai Shen family?" On the other end of the phone, Long Xiaoqian said solemnly, "Brother Su, why do you suddenly ask this? It's a long story, but now the Shen family seems to have a problem with me and has issued a hunting order to take my life." "What? Is there such a thing?" Long Xiaoqian was obviously surprised. Chen also heard something was wrong and asked hurriedly, "Brother Long, what's wrong? Is it serious?" Long Xiaoqian said, "Brother Su, the Shen family is different from the Song family. They are not so easy to deal with. You can't handle this matter. Don't ask more questions. I will send someone to negotiate with the Shen family. Everything will be fine." After a few words, the phone was hung up in a hurry. Chen could tell that things seemed very tricky, and even Long Xiaoqian felt burdened. "I couldn't help but feel strange. Could it be that the power of the Shen family could threaten the Black Tiger Society, the largest gang in Zhonghai? What is the background of the Shen family? Who is Shen Miao? It seems that I have to go to the hotel tonight to find Shen Miao and ask her clearly." Chen made a decision. Just as I was about to go upstairs, a red BMW M8 suddenly drove into the community. A luxury car worth 2 million. This place is an old city area and luxury cars are rarely seen. When the car drove in, it immediately attracted the attention of many passers-by in the community. "Brother Chen, do you miss me?" The car window opened and a beautiful girl stuck her head out. "It's Gao Shahan." "Miss Gao, why are you here?" Chen was a little surprised. Why did this rich girl always go to the old city? Gao Shahan chuckled and said, "Because I miss you. You didn't take the initiative to contact me, so I took the initiative to come to you." She was still the same, speaking passionately and boldly. The luxury car, the beauty, and the ultimate temptation instantly attracted the envious gazes of many men on the roadside. They all sighed and wondered how could someone living in this shabby community be able to attract such a stunning beauty. Chen blushed at the teasing and said, "Are you here to inform me to be on time for the appointment tomorrow?" Chapter 29, Appointment. He always remembered the affairs of Qiangshan Group. Gao Shahan was extremely happy. He, I knew that brother Su Chen must have me in his heart. How about this, as a token of encouragement, if you can get a job at Changshan Group, I will give you 2 gifts. Gift. Su Chen was a little curious. Gao Shahan rolled her eyes and said cleverly, yes, it's a gift that no man can refuse. Su Chen scratched his head. Men can't refuse. What will it be? While I was still confused, Gao Shahan had already waved goodbye and drove away. Su Chen turned around and went upstairs. As soon as he entered the door, he received a text message from Gao Shahan. Brother Su Chen, before the 2 big gifts, I will give you a small gift in advance. There is a photo below the text. Su Chen flipped through the pages and almost had a nosebleed. In the photo, Gao Shahan is sitting in the car with her 2 beautiful legs in black stockings raised high. The view is from top to bottom, capturing the mysterious area between her thighs very clearly. The most important thing is, she wasn't wearing any underwear. The exciting mysterious garden is in full view. Su Chen couldn't help swallowing his saliva. His heart was moved by what he saw. This was too tempting. Damn. I must find a chance to deal with this little vixen. Ding dong. I was just about to go into the kitchen to stew chicken soup when I heard the doorbell ring. Who is coming again? Su Chen was puzzled, then he opened the door and saw a young girl standing outside. Looks very familiar. Mr. Su, I finally found you. When the girl saw Su Chen, she was so happy that she danced with joy. Su Chen then remembered that this was the granddaughter of Xiao Pengshan who was treated in the square 2 days ago. Her name seemed to be Xiao Yanga. It turns out to be Miss Xiao. How do you know I live here? I regretted it after asking. He is the 2nd largest group in China overseas. Is it difficult to find out where he lives? Xiao Yanga hurriedly said, Mr. Su, you saved my grandfather's life last time. The Xiao family is very grateful, so I would like to invite you to our home tomorrow night. My grandfather will host a banquet to thank you very much. Su Chen also roughly guessed that it was this kind of thing. After thinking about it carefully, it would be a good thing to make friends with another rich person. He has now become Lu Ming's apprentice, and will definitely deal with people from Zhonghai's upper society in the future. It would be good to get to know more of them as soon as possible. Okay, I'll be there on time tomorrow. He agreed. Xiao Yanger was as happy as a child and left laughing. Su Chen went back to the kitchen to stew soup and was then sent to the hospital. After leaving the hospital, he did not rush home, but took a detour to the hotel where Shen Miao was staying. I wanted to ask Shen Miao what happened, but I was turned away. There was no one in the room. Strange, where did this woman go? Su Chen felt something was wrong. Could it be that Shen Miao had been captured? Just as I was about to leave, the hotel's cleaning lady came over mysteriously and asked, Excuse me, are you Su Chen? He was stunned. It's me, what's wrong? The cleaning lady came up and whispered, Miss Shen who lives in this room asked me to tell you something. She said that the people behind the Shen family already know about her loss of virginity. The Shen family may be in calamity. It's not safe here anymore. She's going to hide for a few days and will come back to find you when the storm is not so intense. Su Chen was a little surprised. Why did he feel that things were becoming more and more wrong? Even the Shen family is in dire straits. Also, who are the people behind the Shen family? I always feel that this matter is far more complicated than I imagined. It's late at night. Song family. That's all. On the sofa, Song Yi put his arm around Lu Xiaomai while flipping through Su Chen's information. But, there's nothing special about it. A small employee in charge of receiving parcels at a courier station, with a monthly salary of several thousand yuan, is one of the lowest people in Zhonghai. To the Song family, this person is no different from a beggar. With this background, you dare to go against the Song family? My dear father, actually this useless guy Su Chen is not that great. He just relies on Long Xiaojin's support. Lu Xiaomai leaned on Song Yi's shoulder, looking coquettish, and deliberately played with her attractive figure. Song Yi gritted his teeth, turned to Ji Buchang and said, Could this kid be Long Xiaojin's illegitimate son? Yeah, it's hard to understand. A courier at a courier station was enough to make Long Xiaojian so concerned that he even gathered hundreds of people to the Song family to help him. Master Song, I don't understand this either, but according to what Master Song and Miss Lu said, Long Xiaojian was probably deceived by this kid. I even heard that this kid has become the leader of the Black Tiger Club in the old city. it will be even more difficult for us to take action against him in the future. Ji Buchang looked at the ambiguous behavior between Song Yi and Lu Xiaomai and chose to turn a blind eye and just deal with the matter at hand. But he didn't expect that this woman, Lu Xiaomai, was actually a hidden talent. While young Master Song was still unconscious, this woman began to flirt with Song Yi, looking for an opportunity to find a backer again. Obviously, she succeeded. Just for such a lowly person, you dare to openly attack my Song family. Long Xiaoqian, since you don't give my Song family face, don't blame me for turning against you. After hearing this, Song Yi was furious. It seems like it's time to use the forces we have made outside to contain the Black Tiger Society. At this time, Lu Xiaomai said with a look of grievance, "My dear father, Master Song and I are already husband and wife, and I am a member of the Song family. Now my husband is bedridden and no one loves me. You must take good care of me in the future. As long as you are willing to treat me well, I can do anything for you." She didn't even shy away from the fact that Ji Buchang was watching from the side, and her body softened and she slid between Song Yi's legs. That restless little hand began to stroke Song Yi's legs back and forth. Such temptation is hard for any man to resist. Song Yi was also aroused, and he gently touched Lu Xiaomai's face, saying with a lecherous look, "Don't worry, I will take good care of you for my son, but it depends on how capable you are." "My dear father, you are so bad." Lu Xiaomai grumbled, a charming smile on her lips, not caring about the awkward Ji Buchang next to her, and then she untied Song Yi's belt. The next morning, Chen arrived at Qiangshan Group early. It is indeed a big group. On such a grand day, they directly booked the entire street to hold the event, making it extremely lively. The scene was packed with people and full of cheers. There are various entertainment activities, as well as snacks, acrobatics, dance, and magic, which are dazzling. Chen had no interest in these and walked straight into the Qiangshan Group building. "Brother Su, you are here." As soon as I entered the door, I ran into Long Xiaoqian. Chen was overjoyed. He didn't expect to run into someone he knew here. He smiled and said, "Brother Long, why are you here too?" Long Xiaoqian was stumped by the question. Thinking that Gao Shahan's identity could not be disclosed to Chen, he casually said, "Have you forgotten my identity? Whether the entire Zhonghai is peaceful or not is up to me. It's such an important day for Qiangshan Group. I'm afraid that competitors will come to mess up. Of course I have to be there in person to keep an eye on it."